Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto becomes legendary samurai part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. 50 years ago. The young 20-year-old samurai stood kneeling at his dying master's side. Mushi, you have been chosen to be the successor of the Nitin Ichi Ryu style of swordsmanship, the old man said in an eerily calm voice of those who are staring death in the face. Master, I am not worthy of such an honor, the young man said. Do not say such things. You have done remarkably well for your young age and you will only get better. Listen very well, for this is your final lesson from me. Hi Sensei. Words, titles, honorifics and the like, they mean nothing in this world. We long for fame, fortune and aggrandizement, and yet it all comes to nothing in the face of death. We seek all these things because we are not complete within ourselves, we are not at peace. We have lost our connection to nature. In my death I finally understand what Yagyu Sekishusai sensei said that night when I was poised to take his life. What did he say? Asked the young man, knowing full well that this man was one of his fiercest rivals. My sword is one with heaven and earth, that is what he told me. My sword is one with heaven and earth. Yes, the ultimate ideal of the swordsman develops in 3 stages. The first stage begins with the unity of man and sword. In this stage cannot distinguish between man and sword, for they are the same. Even blade of grass is the deadliest weapon is such a man's hand. The second stage is when the sword exists in a man's heart, and in this stage even without his sword the swordsman is a formidable opponent. The final stage is when the sword exists neither in the man's heart nor hand. He is at peace with himself and the worlds and seeks to bring peace to mankind. The young man was speechless. Those words were burned into Mushi's soul. I have had a strange dream, Mushi. The world will be thrown into a great turmoil once again, and a war will begin the likes of which we could never dream of. A great war? In the final years of your life will meet a child with a great burden, far greater than any of us could dream of. He will be your student. What? My student? Was the young man's startled reply. Yes, your student, and he will be the greatest of us all. He will have to fight many battles because of it. However, he will become a warrior like none this world has ever seen. He will be the focal point of this war, and many lives will depend on him. How will I know that I have found this child? You will not find him, he will find you. Such a great burden. Am I able to train such a warrior? Do not doubt yourself. Doubt is a deadly feeling for a warrior. Hi Sensei. Now my time is almost here, my son. As my successor I give to you the things I value most in my life, my teachings of Dakoto, Go-Rin no Sho, and 2 swords, a katana named Yawarakaite, tender hands, and a wakizashi named Heishiai Seishin, unwavering spirit, forged by one of the greatest swordsmiths ever, Masamian. The young man could not utter a word. This is a veritable treasure in the samurai world. His master's/father's parting words were, we are all a part of nature and we cannot escape it, do not struggle. His master, his father, the great Musashi Miyamoto, died with a smile in his face. Present day. After failing the exam for the 2nd time, Naruto sat alone on the swing watching endlessly as the other kids are congratulated by their parents for a job well done. Anger, loneliness, sadness, and longing filled his heart, for he too yearned to be met by a loved one in the moment of his triumph. He too wanted to hear "good job, my boy," or "well done, son." Why am I all alone? Why am I ignored and shunned? Were the questions that were running through the boy's head. Naruto was not a stupid boy, and he was keenly aware of the barely concealed anger that was directed at him on a daily basis. As all kids went home with their relatives, he taught about the treatment he received from the villagers. It was the natural curiosity of children to question the world they lived in. Having been ignored and shunned for most of his life, Naruto knew that there was some reason for the treatment that he received. He struggled in class with the Academy Jutsu, especially the Bunshin no Jutsu. For some reason he could not get his chakra to come out right. Thus he reacted as any kid his age. He stayed away from class. His reasoning was simple and logical. Why continue to go the place of your torment? And thus the cycle of his failure would continue. The repressed anger that lurked just beneath the surface of his fake smile began to surface. There is a saying that the anger in others arouses your own anger, and vice versa. A lifetime of being ignored, shunned and called monster, coupled with 2 consecutive failures in the genin exam, broke the facade of the boy. There is a saying that in life there are worse things than death. Having no existence was one of those things. To be seen as a non-entity, a non-human, puts enormous strain on the human psyche. Thus, the human mind in a desperate attempt to have an existence seeks to stand out, to shine, to be seen. This need to exist, to be acknowledged, manifests itself differently in people. Some people become aggressive, scream, shout, deliberately fail at the things they do, create a sad story and enact a poor me attitude to garner the attention of sympathetic persons. In Naruto, this need for attention manifested itself in a bright orange jumpsuit in a shinobi village, a loud and brash attitude with much bravado, and unfortunately for the villagers in the form of pranks. He did these things in a desperate attempt to gain attention, and any person truly paying attention would see that. They would also see that he was a kid of enormous mental and emotional fortitude, because to withstand such pressure and still have the desire to succeed was no small feat. However, he was just a human being, a child no less, and his fragile mind, though strong, was beginning to break. Despite everything, he was still a child, still extremely vulnerable to apathy of the village. Greater men have withered under such pressure. Lost in his anger and depression, he made his way through a sparsely populated area of the village. While walking, he noticed a small scroll shop that caught his attention. He didn't know why, but for some reason he is captivated by the small shop. His anger and depression gave way to a strange curiosity. As he entered the simple establishment, he instinctively lowered his head to hide his face to prevent a rude greeting. However, this was not the case today, for he was greeted by the gentle voice of a kind elderly man. "Hello there, young one, what brings you to my humble establishment?" Slowly, Naruto looked up at the man and their eyes met, and in that moment a connection was made. In the old man's eyes Naruto could see a gentle strength full of wisdom and experience, and in Naruto's eyes the man could see pain, loneliness, sadness, desire, strength, potential, and passion. After the brief moment of connection, Naruto stammered out, "Sorry to interrupt, but I wandered off my normal route to my apartment after dinner when I noticed your store and just wanted to check it out." "Ah," said the old man, "well, be my guest then." As Naruto walked through the store, he marveled at the number of scrolls that were there, and the different blades and armor. He was brought out of his awe by the old man's voice. "Hey young one, I couldn't help but notice that in your eyes held great disappointment, and a whole range of other emotions. Did something happen today, young one?" For some reason Naruto felt that he could trust the old man. "Yeah," Naruto replied, feeling completely safe with the old man. "I failed the ninja graduation exam for a second time in a row." "Must be hard for you, young one." The boy laughed sarcastically. "That it was just a typical episode in my life, old man." "I have nothing, old man. I am shunned and ignored by the entire village, and I don't know why. I don't have any parents. The closest thing I have to a family is the Hokage, Iruka-sensei, Tuchi, and I am. My life has been nothing but one failure after another. The kids in the academy have everything: family, friends, and a place to call home. It makes me angry," the boy said. Jealousy is a truly dangerous emotion. It causes people to do all sorts of cruel things to get what they want, and it is the reason behind your village-wide pranks. They are just your way of forcing the village to acknowledge you. It is only natural for a child to long for the warmth and love of their parents, to be cared for and nurtured. However, you have failed to realize that there are people who love and care about you. This Gigi you speak about, Iruka-sensei, old man Tuchi, and your Nechan, though they may not give you want, they give you what you need, and that is acknowledgement. They cheer you up when you are down, and always have kind words to offer, yet you stand before me here in this place, and you have turned your back on their support to you. If it is one thing you must learn, young, is that life is not fair, and we do not get to choose our lot in life. Crying, whining, jealousy, and anger will get you nowhere." Naruto was shocked once again. In his mind, images of old man Tuchi, Ayam, and Sandaime, and Iruka came to his mind. They all had smiles on their faces. All the times they cheered him up when he was down, and all the kind smiles and warm words of comfort. They were always there for him, and here he was wallowing in self-pity. He was brought out of his musings by the old man's voice. "Never be jealous. For we don't know the true extent of any given situation. Just as you are wishing to be like those kids, some of them may be wishing to be you. Free of clan obligations and routines, free to just be themselves and not the image of their clan. Jealousy breeds hate because you want what another has and cannot get it. You begin to resent him for it. In resentment, the desire to take it from him gives rise to all manners of devious plots and twisted plans to acquire that which is not yours. Jealousy breeds hatred and resentment, which in turn leads to war. Many of the world's greatest and devastating wars have been started over jealousy and lust for power." The man's words were burned into his soul. There was nothing he could say or do at the moment. All he could do was listen. We never know what another is truly going through. They may look happy and sure on the outside, but on the inside they are dying. We envy those with power and prestige, but they are often not happy. They worry about holding on to their power and ensuring that they remain in power. They see themselves as above everyone else and don't respond to the plight of the weak. They are constantly in battle because everyone else wants their power and thus fights them for it. They could never have enough power, prestige, and wealth, more and more until their greed consumes them and everything around them. They no longer see people as human beings, but as tools, servants, and commodities that are expendable. Yet oftentimes people wish to be just like them, to be in their shoes, to enjoy the so-called finer things in life. Never be jealous, young one, for we do not know what Kami has in store for us, and we lose sight of the things that are the most valuable in life. But it is hard not to be jealous and resentful, old man, the boy said, recovering from his little tirade. The old man chuckled at the boy's lack of respect for him. Ah, the brashness of youth, he thought. There is not mistake about it, he is the one, my student. My master told me that I would meet you one day. What are you talking about, old man? Meet me? The boy said, genuinely confused. You see, I follow the way of the warrior, young one, or as the samurai like to call it, Bushido. On his deathbed, my father, my master, told me that I would meet a child and that I will or should train him in the way of the warrior. I am not a child. The boy shouted out, I'm 11. Ah. But you are young one. Grrrr, old man. As I was saying, my master told me that I would meet a child who carries a great burden and would become a great warrior. And you are saying that this you are speaking about is me? Asked Naruto. Yes, that is correct, young one. Quit playing around, old man. I am a dropout, a failure, a nobody. The old man smiled. What's so funny, old man? One moment, young one, the man said as he walked to the back of his shop. A few minutes later he returned with a glass and a bottle of water. He showed the boy the glass. What do you see? An empty glass, old man. What are you up to? The old man said nothing. He then filled the glass with water. What do you see now, young one? A full glass of water, Naruto replied, trying to figure out what the man was doing. Good. Now what would happen if the glass was already full and I poured water into it? It would overflow, replied the curious boy. You say you are a dropout, a failure, a no good. Thus you are empty like that glass once was. However, the only way for the glass to be filled was for it to be empty, no other way. You, young one, are the perfect pupil. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Being empty, you can now be filled. A failure you may be at the shinobi arts, but there is more to life. There is a bigger picture to be seen. A bigger picture? Asked the astounded boy. He was just told that he was the perfect pupil. The academy instructors wouldn't agree with that statement. Yes. If focus only on the leaf, you miss the tree. If you focus on the tree, you miss the forest. If focus only on the forest, you miss the world. You must learn to see everything in its entirety. Everything can be found here, pointing towards the boy's heart. If your heart is preoccupied, your sword will not be true, and if your sword is not true, you will die in battle. Do not be preoccupied with a single thing. Learn to see everything in its entirety, effortlessly. That is what it means to truly see. You are preoccupied with the village's actions toward you and the possessions of others. You are distracted and vulnerable. A fly could kill you right now if it wanted to. Naruto was awed by the man's words. Right then he was greeted with a splash of water to his face. Hey, old man, what was that for? You let your guard down. You were preoccupied with my words. Naruto was shocked as the man's words were put into action. He was greeted with a bop to the head. Oh, what was that for now? You were preoccupied with the practical application of what I said. You were stunned because they were not mere words that I was speaking. This time the boy remained alert. Yes, old man. The old man smiled as the boy stayed alert. Good, you are beginning to understand. As I was saying, the way of the warrior is one of courage, benevolence, politeness, sincerity, honor, loyalty, and self-control. But I am a ninja, and ninja and samurai are totally different. The old man laughed. That they are, young one, that they are. So you are a samurai, huh, old man? Yes, I am. However, a true warrior is not concerned about titles and status, nor is he concerned about what others think of him. A true warrior does not act on customary beliefs but searches out the truth himself, and walks his own path dictated by him, and no other. A true warrior is one who is master of himself. A master of himself? Yes, young one. You are too young to see it, but you are held in a chain by the people of the village. Your strong desire for them to acknowledge your existence gives them tremendous control over you. Your village-wide pranks, though well thought out and comical, is a desperate attempt on your part for the village to acknowledge your existence. You depend on their reactions. You even count on it because that is how your existence is made real. The boy felt a sting in his chest as he heard the truth of his actions was laid before him. He was rooted to the spot by the old man's words. Though the man's words hurt like hell, they held no malice or ill intent. It was really hard for him to accept. What would happen if he accepted the truth? He would truly not exist, for he had nothing else to prove his existence. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, when he heard a gentle voice cut through the haze of mind. Fear not, young one, for what you are experiencing now can be overcome. You have placed the chain around your own neck, but you can take it off just as you put it on. There was this warrior who was said to be undefeatable in battle, and he was known throughout the lands as the Kensei or Sword Saint because of his mastery in wielding two blades simultaneously in battle. He had vast experience in the ways of the blade, tactics and war, and upon sensing that his life was soon coming to an end, he began writing about all that he had learned in his travels and battles. It is said that he achieved peace in a lifetime of war. Would you like to read what this great warrior had to say? I think that it would be of great benefit, especially for you, young one. Momentarily forgetting his plight, Naruto was intrigued by what he heard and greatly wished to read what this warrior had to say. Yes, I would very much like to read what this man had to say about life, war, and tactics. Wait a moment, young one, the man replied as he went to the back of his store to retrieve the item. He returned a moment later, with a small scroll in his hand. It was a small, unremarkable scroll that was very plain in design. Before I give you the scroll, I must warn you that it will be unlike anything you have ever read before and requires a deep contemplation and examination. It will change your outlook on life and your life forever. It will help you achieve peace and to walk your own path in life. Are willing to take such a risk, young one? Naruto gave the proposition considerable thought. He really had nothing to lose at the moment. If it would help him get some peace of mind, then it was worth the shot. The least he could do was read it and see what the man had to say. Very well then, young one, he said, and he handed the scroll to the boy. It read, Dakoto, the Path of Solitude. This scroll consists of 21 precepts written by the Kensei in preparation for his death. It expresses a stringent, honest, and ascetic view of life, you see, for it is only in death that you can find the true meaning of life. Read the words and contemplate them deeply, and if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Hi, replied Naruto, and took the scroll. The old man smiled as the young blonde left, knowing that the ninja world would never be the same again. With Naruto. Naruto's mind was solely on the scroll now. He made way quickly to his apartment to read the special scroll given to him by the old man. When he reached his apartment, he lay on his bed and opened the scroll. The name of the scroll resonated deeply within him, and knew that somehow this would be something that would change his life. The scroll was small and simple and contained 21 short sayings. They were: 1. Accept everything just the way it is. 2. Do not seek pleasure for its own sake. 3. Do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. 4. Think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world. 5. Be detached from desire your whole life long. 6. Do not regret what you have done. 7. Never be jealous. 8. Never let yourself be saddened by a separation. 9. Resentment and complaint are appropriate neither for oneself nor others. 10. Do not let yourself be guided by the feeling of lust or love. 11. In all things have no preferences. 12. Be indifferent to where you live. 13. Do not pursue the taste of good food. 14. Do not hold on to possessions you no longer need. 15. Do not act following customary beliefs. 16. Do not collect weapons or practice with weapons beyond what is useful. 17. Do not fear death. 18. Do not seek to possess either goods or fiefs for your old age. 19. Respect Buddha and the gods without counting on their help. 20. You may abandon your own body, but you must preserve your honor. 21. Never stray from the way. The words in the scroll hit Naruto like a bolt of lightning, for they embodied everything that he did in his life. He was full to the brim with desires, he had many preferences, loved good food, craved attention, and acted out the beliefs of the villagers. He complained a lot to Gigi, and he was both resentful and jealous of the kids in the academy who had a family and performed well in class. He was thrown into a state of confusion. These were very difficult things to give up, and didn't know if he could achieve such a remarkable feat. He decided to not think about it much because he would be seeing the old man again tomorrow. He decided to go to bed early to help his mind relax after a whirlwind of a day. The next morning, after having breakfast aka ramen, Naruto made his way to the old man's shop. Entering carefully, he called out, "Hey old man, you there? It's me, Naruto." The old man came out of the back of his room once again with a gentle smile on his face. You have much questions, young one. It was a statement rather than a question. Yes. I don't understand any of this if they go against everything I have known all my life. The old man smiled a gentle smile. I told you that those words would be unlike anything you ever read before. It contradicts everything we were taught while growing up. I too, when my master gave me this scroll, felt the very same way. Come, let us talk, motioning for the young one to enter. As they entered to the back of his humble abode, Naruto couldn't help but marvel at the simplicity of the man's home. Hey old man, is this all you have? Yes. I only carry what I need, and nothing more. Come have a seat. As they became comfortable with each other, he said, I have a proposition for you, would you like to hear it? Naruto got a confused look on his face. Yeah, why not? How would you like to be my apprentice? This news had Naruto completely flabbergasted. No one had ever given him anything in his life except the old man Hokage. He was very cautious of people who offered him stuff because they would always try to hurt him. Why is this some kind of trick? No, it is not, the man said in a completely calm voice, unfazed by the boy's mini outburst. I would like to train you in the way of the warrior. My master told me that one day a student will appear before me and that I am to teach him the way of the warrior. He also told me that I need not go searching for the student, because he will show up when the time is right. I believe that you are the student that I am to pass on the way of the warrior to. The young boy's eyes became wide with the old man's revelation. However, they quickly dropped. Will I still be able to become a ninja? He asked. I am sorry, the path of the warrior and the path of the shinobi are as different as the night is to the day. As I said before, the way of the warrior is one of courage, benevolence, politeness, sincerity, honor, loyalty, and self-control. Whereas the path of the shinobi is one of sabotage, assassination, infiltration, and espionage. You must choose one or the other. In choosing the path of the warrior, you may very well have to give up your dream of being Hokage. With the revelation, Naruto was frozen. Give up his dream to be Hokage? Do I want to give up my dream? He thought. I need to think about this, old man. Very well, young one, you are right for thinking this over, for this is a big decision for you. Yeah, I will talk to you sometime, Naruto said as he slowly walked out of the old man's shop. Later, atop the Hokage monument. Naruto sat atop the Hokage monument. It was slowly getting dark and the night lights of the village were beginning to come on. All my life I have been shunned by the village. I have repeatedly failed the basic academy material. Maybe I am not cut out to be a ninja. Maybe the way of the warrior is what I was meant to do. Maybe I might find some peace of mind away from the constant struggle for acknowledgement. Do I want to follow the path of the warrior? Do I want to live a life of honor, loyalty, and self-control? His mind then went back to the scroll, Dakoto, the path of solitude, the path to be walked alone. His mind also went back to the old man's words, if you focus on a single spot, you will miss everything else. To see everything in its entirety, that is what it truly means to see. Is there more to life than being Hokage? Have I been so preoccupied with being Hokage that I am looking past everything else? I need to speak to Gigi about this, the young boy thought as he made his way back to the apartment. The next day, Naruto went to visit the Sandaime and talked to him about his meeting with the old man. Hey Gigi, what's up? The boy said in a somber tone. Hello, Naruto-kun, what seems to be the problem? Gigi, I don't think I want to be a ninja anymore. What? Gigi, I failed the exam twice in a row and I can't even do the basic bunshin. That's no reason to give up, Naruto. I could get extra tutoring for you with Irika. I am not giving up, Gigi. I met this old man and he wants to teach me the way of the warrior and I want to learn it. I don't want to be a ninja. What about your dream to be Hokage, Naruto? I don't know anymore. There are too many things that I don't know about. I don't know why I am shunned by the villagers and I don't know who my parents are and the constant put-downs and jeers by the students in the class. The way of the warrior? Who is this man? Asked a concerned Sandaime. He runs an old scroll shop in the Minsha district. Very well, Naruto, if that is what you truly want, but I will have to inform the council of this development. Also, I will need to meet with this man. Thanks, Gigi. Before you go, Naruto, I have one final question. What is it, Gigi? How do you feel towards Konoha now? Konoha is my home and that will never change. I will still fight to protect that which is precious to me. Just not as a shinobi of Konoha. Very well then, you really are surprising, you know that, Naruto. Yeah, Gigi, I know. Later that night at Sensei's old store. Sensei was reading a book in his dimly lit room. His head was still in the book when he started to speak. You can come on out now, Sarutobi. All are welcomed in my humble abode. Although, I am not as dangerous as you make me out to be. Sarutobi faded out of a dark corner in the room and stood before the old man. I sense that you care deeply for the boy, for the Hokage of Konoha to pay me a personal visit in the middle of the night. Naruto told you asked him to be your apprentice. Why? The Hokage asked without responding to the amicable banter of the old man before him. From the moment Sarutobi laid eyes on the man, he saw power and skill. This was no mere shop owner. I had no choice, said the man. He was ready to walk the path. How do you know this? It was the same for me, and my master. My father in his last moments in this world told me that I will meet a child with a great burden. He told me that a great war will occur, the likes of which we have never seen before. A great war? Asked Sarutobi. A great war, and that child will be the focal point of that war. Are you sure about this? Sarutobi said in a solemn voice. As I said before, they are the words of a dying man. The boy was ready, and thus he found his way to me. You must understand, Sarutobi-san, that what he is about to learn is much more than about sword techniques and strategy. What he is about to learn is more than about any particular profession. He is going to learn the most important thing that a warrior must know about before every technique, every strategy, and every battle. And what is that? Himself, said the old man. He needs to learn about himself before he can learn about the ways of war. He must learn his strengths and weaknesses. He must learn how to turn his weaknesses into strengths and to hide his strengths so that his enemies will not be able to discover them. There is a saying that goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you need not fear the outcome of 1,000 battles. Before I teach him any techniques, he must accept himself for who he is, and his life for what it is. Sandame's eyes turned ice cold. You know of his burden? Yes, I know that he holds the Kyuubi within him, the man calmly replied. It is a great burden for one so young, but life was not known to be forgiving or fair, and he must accept that. The Hokage became serious once again, and his killing intent began to leak out. He may have to kill this man, he knows too much. How do you know this? Sarutobi said in a cold voice. I must warn you to choose your words carefully, for I may have to take your life, for you know too much classified information. You may very well be a threat to my village. It is rather obvious if one pays attention and knows the general history of Konoha. General history? The Sandame said with the stony glare still on his face. I have traveled to many lands and learned many things. I know of the history of war between the elemental nations and everything that came along with the wars. But we both know that the information in those books that we go in order to learn history are not really accurate. The Kyuubi is, a beast of immense power and malevolence. Such a beast cannot be simply defeated or killed. The only way to defeat such a beast is to seal it or contain it in some form or fashion. Now, sealing such a beast in an inanimate object is useless because the beast will just break free. Such a beast needs to be contained in a living entity, something to tie its life force to in order to chain and control it. That leaves 3 options. Option 1, seal it into a fully grown human. However, his is not a good option because an adult is already fully grown and developed and rigid in both mind and body. Thus the evil chakra of the beast would overwhelm the body, killing the container and setting the beast free. Sarutobi was listening to the man's very logical and informed conclusion. Option 2, the man continued, seal the monster into a teenager. With this option, the result would be the same as option 1. The process of being indoctrinated in the ways of the world has already begun for such an individual, and thus they would be unable to contain the beast. The third and final option, the only way to safely contain the beast, was to seal it into a newborn child whose body and mind has not yet developed, and would be able to adapt to and deal with the entity that was placed in it. The beast's rampage through the land of fire caused the deaths of many brave ninjas who willingly gave their lives to protect their village from total annihilation. Pain is an emotion that people love to hold on to and use it as an excuse to inflict much damage to others, claiming a sense of superiority because of the pain they feel. I have seen how the young boy is treated by the villagers, and though their pain is understandable, that is no excuse to treat a young child in such a manner. I am starting to wonder what made Konoha such a great village in the first place. Sandame was forced to agree with the old man's impeccable logic. If one were to really pay attention, they would figure it out quite easily. In fact, it may even be considered the most open S-class secret of Konoha. What exactly are you going to teach him? Was the other question aimed at the old man. As he told you, I am teaching him in the ways of war. Also, I am going to pass down my sword style to him. What is the name of this sword style? The third asked yet again, becoming a little intrigued with this little tale. The sword style I am going to teach him is called Naitojutsu. He is going to learn how to wield 2 blades at the same time. Its techniques are passed down from master to student from the school of Enai Tenichi Ryu, the school of the two heavens as one. The style was developed by a man known as the Kensei. He will be my successor in the style. For some reason, those words engraved in the Sandame's mind, Sword Saint. Somehow he felt like he had heard or read those words before. Reminding himself to check his library for any information about what he just heard, he said, "Very well then, I will allow you to teach Naruto, however I will be keeping a close eye on you." "Do as you wish, Sandame-san. But before you go, I have a question for you." "What is it?" the Sandame said, still facing the man before him. "Why have you not told the boy that his father is the Yandame Hokage, and that he holds the Kyuubi within him?" "Any idiot with enough brain cells could see that the boy is the spitting image of the Yandame Hokage," replied the old man. "Although, it is a little less obvious the Yandame was an honorable man, and would not allow other family to bear such a burden." Sandame was contemplating whether to kill the man right here and now, for the man knew way too much of Konoha's darkest secrets. However, he thought of how freely the man gave the information to him without fear. It could be a trap. What better way to get your enemy's guard down by telling them the truth? But on the other hand, the information the man had could be easily attained through simple observation. His mind then went to Naruto, who finally found someone who was willing to actually devote time to teach him something. The boy was starving for attention, and the man was fully of knowledge and wisdom. Sarutobi sensed no ill will in the man's words, either in his demeanor. Naruto would learn a lot from this man. The information is being withheld from him as per the request from his father until the time is right. "Ah, that is understandable. The Yandame had many enemies both within and without Konoha. If the kid is not mature enough, he would go opening his big mouth throughout Konoha that his father is the Yandame to stick to the fools who have ignored him. It would be a twisted way of getting back at them for all that they have done, or not done to him. He needs to be mature and strong to accept that information. When his heritage is revealed, the whole of IWA will be at his throat. But why not his burden? He may be better off knowing why he is treated the way he is treated. It may make things easier for him, and better yet if it comes from you, a man who he trusts and looks up to for support." The Sandame looked at the man. The man was very perceptive and intelligent, not to mention powerful. "You are correct. The Yandame was not particularly well liked by the men of IWA and to a lesser extent Kumo. The secrecy is for the boy's protection. As it concerns his burden, it may or may not make things easier, but that is my decision to make." "You do not give the boy much credit. He is a lot more perceptive than he looks. He will be better off learning the truth earlier rather than later. He will be great someday, and name will be known throughout the elemental nations. He will fight many battles, as many will try to prove their superiority, to test their mettle against him. He will push those around him to go beyond their limits. He will be their benchmark, the measure by which they observe their progress. However, it will all come to naught because they are not following their own path." The two old men held each other's gaze in the silence of the night for what seemed like hours. "You need not worry about that. It is not your concern." Sarutobi looked at the man and glared. "I will have my eyes on you." "Do what you wish," replied the old man without even a hint of fear. Sarutobi left, melding back into the shadows. The next day with the Sandame. Sarutobi was in his personal library searching for anything he could find on the Enite and Ichi Ryu style, and the Kensei that the man in the little shop told him about. He had cancelled all his morning appointments to free up enough time for his search. The Sandame had an insatiable thirst for knowledge, and there was a reason he was known as the professor throughout the shinobi world. He had amassed a great library of information about shinobi and non-shinobi techniques. The samurai techniques were among those he gained some knowledge of. His search came to an end when he found a book titled The History of the Samurai. He went to the desk in his library and began to search for information about the Kensei. When he found the information, he began to read. The Kensei or Sword Saint was a man of unparalleled skill with the sword, and he was a legend in the samurai world. He was the founder of Enite and Ichiryu, also known as the School of the Strategy of Two Heavens as One. It is a style of classical Japanese swordsmanship. Enite and Ichiryu is mainly known for the two-sword katana wakizashi kenjutsu techniques, which he called Niten Ichi Two Heavens as One or Nito Ichi Two Swords as One. He was the author of the Book of Five Rings or Go-Rin no Sho, which is a text on kenjutsu and the martial arts in general. He was a very serious man and never condoned technical flourishes in his students. He believed that all technique is simply a method of cutting down one's opponent. He believed that his strategy can be used in one-on-one combat, or a massive battle. He believed in thorough practice instead of simply reading information in books. In his work he outlines that there are different elements of battle, just as there are different physical elements in life. He believed that upon their mastery of strategy and timing as listed in the 5 books, you will be able to defeat 10 men as easy as you could defeat one, and questions when you have reached this point, will it not mean that you are invincible? He believed that a true warrior, as well as a true strategist, is someone who has made mastery of many art forms away from that of the sword. It is said that in death he was undefeated in battle. After finishing reading the short bio of the man known as the Kensei in the samurai world, Sarutobi was in deep thought. If this is what Naruto is going to learn from this man, and the man mentioned that he and his master met in the same way, then Naruto was going to learn the teachings of arguably the greatest samurai of all time. The man was correct in his assertions about the potential of Naruto. The ninja world will certainly not be the same again. Later that day with Naruto and Sensei. Have you come to a decision, young one? Yes, I accept your offer. Very well then, but I must warn you. A warrior is one who studies the art of war. He is a student of war and seeks to learn everything about it, and he thirsts for its knowledge and application. You must know that this training, just like the scroll, will be unlike anything you have done before. It will be rigorous and very harsh. I will not spare you for even a moment. In choosing to be a student of war, you have chosen to enter into a world of violence, pain, and death. I will push you to the limits of your body, mind, and spirit, and I will not be kind. With this teaching, you will be able to face any hardship and overcome it. Naruto's face held a fierce determination. I will not back down, this is my choice. Okay, young one. In the scroll there are 21 precepts that you must contemplate before we move forward with your training. Each day I will explain to you each precept in order, and you will spend the rest of the day contemplating the precept. There is much for you to learn, but we shall take our time. Don't expect to understand every precept, for that is impossible for any person to do in just 21 days. Yes, Sensei, the boy replied in a very solemn and determined tone. Good, take the rest of the day off and meet me tomorrow to begin your training. Later that afternoon at the council meeting, Sarutobi sat at the head of the council chamber with all the clan heads of all the major clans, as well as the civilian council. He knew that this would be a very tough situation to deal with as it concerns the village Jinchuriki. Any issue with the village Jinchuriki always ended up into a messy affair. I have an important announcement to make, and it concerns Uzumaki Naruto. With the mention of Naruto, the entire council became quiet. This must be something big, they all thought. Usually the most you hear about the boy is his pranking exploits. Sandaime usually deals with those. Uzumaki Naruto does not wish to be a ninja of Konoha. With that statement, the council was thrown into chaos. What is the meaning of this, Sarutobi? Koharu asked. He has no choice but to become a shinobi. To which the Sandaime replied, first of all, it is Sandaime-sama to you, Koharu, and to everyone else for that matter. You all may be on the council, but I am the Hokage, don't ever forget that. Secondly, he does have a choice. What do you think will happen if we force him to do something against his will? He is a very stubborn boy, and once his mind is set on something, there is no turning it back. Well, if that is the case, Sandaime-sama, then he should be executed. He is of no use to the village, a member of the civilian half of the council said. This gathered murmurs of agreement from the rest of the civilian council. No such thing will be taking place in this village. He is a child despite the burden he bears. He has been ostracized by the village and no longer has the will to be a shinobi of Konoha. This is a sad day, for he had the potential to be one of the greatest shinobi to have ever come out of Konoha. The boy's spirit is broken and there is no one to blame but the village and thus myself. We have let our ignorance, anger and pain guide our actions for too long, and thus we have lost a great shinobi. Aburame Shibi, head of the Aburame clan, then asked, so what will his course of action be then, Sandaime-sama? No doubt he needs some form of training? Yes, you are right, Shibi-san. He wishes to follow the way of the warrior. He believes that he may find some measure of peace with himself in such a path. He wishes to follow the way of the samurai? Asked Nara Shikaku, head of the Nara clan. Yes, was the Sandaime's reply. This is a ninja village, not a samurai village. Who is going to teach him the way of the samurai? Asked Inuzuka-tsum, head of the Inuzuka clan. He has been asked to be apprenticed to a samurai living in this very village, a very powerful one, I might add. Who is this man? Asked Hayashi, head of the Hyuga clan, genuinely intrigued by this development. His name is Mushi Miyamoto, son and heir to the legendary samurai Musashi Miyamoto, founder of the Nitten Ichi Ryu style of swordsmanship. Miyamoto was known simply as the Sword Saint because of his mastery with the blade. In death he was said to be undefeated in battle. His eldest son has inherited his father's teachings. The school of the two heavens as one. Why the Kyuubi Jinchuriki? Asked Danzo upon hearing that the founder of the style that Naruto was going to learn was undefeated in battle. This is the disturbing part. His father that a great war will occur and that Naruto would be the focal point of this war. Many lives will depend on him. War? They all shouted. When will this war occur? Asked Hayashi, head of the Hyuga clan. I don't not know, Hyuga-san, however. Konoha has been living with the threat of war for a long time now. I will get in contact with my errant pupil Jiraiya, he may have some useful information for us. Yes, Jiraiya is our foremost spy master, his information will be valuable about any possible threats, said Nara Shikaku. Yes, that is true, but for now what about the young boy's status in the village? Asked Akimichi Choza, head of the Akimichi clan. Remarkably, he is still loyal to a village that has brought nothing but pain to him in his young life. There are grown men who lack that kind of fortitude. As I said before, in its ignorance Konoha has lost a great shinobi. Unfortunately for the civilian half of the council, one member decided to make a fatal error on the path of the council. He has no choice to love this village, we gave him everything he has. We own him and he has due to do what we tell him. You could hear a pin drop in the council chamber. The shinobi council knew that the idiot just made a great mistake. The Sandaime was already displeased that the village's greatest assets did not wish to be a shinobi. The Sandaime is not one to be messed with in the mood that he is in right now. Obviously, the civilian council needs a lesson in manners, for you have far overstepped your boundaries. Need I remind you that this is a military affair, and thus does not fall under your jurisdiction. Furthermore, this is a shinobi village, not a merchant's fair, thus you have no business meddling in shinobi affairs. Therefore, as of this moment I am enacting a new law. All council sessions will be separated into two parts. The first part will be dedicated to the civilian affairs of the village, and the second will be devoted to shinobi affairs. Upon the completion of the civilian reports and all issues are settled, the civilian council will promptly leave the chamber, after which the shinobi council will begin its meeting. What, you can't do that? Said another member of the civilian council. Says who? Asked the Sandaime in a very pissed voice, barely leaking killing intent. The council member had no reply. I thought so. All in favor for the enactment of this law? All the members of the shinobi council raised their hands, with the exception of Inuzuka-tsum, who raised both hands because she never liked the civilian council. In addition to the shinobi part of the council, the Hokage's advisors also gave their support to the bill, giving a clear majority. The civilian council did not even get the chance to raise their hands, the deed was done. Good, said the Sandaime, as he signaled the Anbu to escort the civilian part of the council out of the chamber amid much protest. When the civilian council was escorted out of the chamber, there were a variety of reactions from the remaining members of the council. Choza, Inoichi and heads of departments all had grins on their faces. His advisors had unreadable expressions, and Hayashi, Shibi and Shikaka gave him slight nods of approval. Inuzuka-tsum said, "It is about damn time, Sandaime-sama." Everyone in their own way totally agreed with her. The civilian council has interfered in shinobi affairs for far too long. Yes, they have, now resuming, the Sandaime said, and this got the undivided attention of all present. As I said before, he is still very much loyal to Konoha, and thus he will be part of our military, albeit in a rather unique way. What are you proposing, Sandaime-sama? Asked Yamanaka Inoichi, head of the Yamanaka clan. I am proposing having him as a supplementary aid to the shinobi forces, as a replacement in teams that are a man short for certain missions. Should we be under attack, he will serve as any other shinobi in defending the village. What about his chain of command? Asked Aburame Shibi. The chain of command will be the same. He will follow the instructions of his Chunin and Jonin superiors and me, of course. The shinobi council began to laugh. This was one of the most interesting council meetings for a long time. The next day, 5 o'clock in afternoon, Naruto arrived at the old man's store. Hey sensei, I am here, he said. The old man came from the back of his store with his trademark gentle smile. Good young one, let us begin. Lesson number 1. Accept everything the way it is. People mistakenly believe that we are in control of our lives. However, nothing could be further from the truth. If you think deeply, we don't control the rising and falling of the sun, the tides of the ocean, the birth of a baby, or life and death. Things happen in their own way, and in their own time. Refusing to accept something as it is, we are thus unable to effectively handle the situation. It is the same with war. We do not choose our enemy, their numbers, when they will attack, or their skill level. In battle, we may encounter a more skilled opponent, a less skilled opponent, or an equally skilled opponent. There will be times when we have to attack, and others where we have to defend. There are times when things and plans go perfectly, and there are times when things just go all wrong. Life is unpredictable, and we are never sure when or where something will happen. In accepting everything the way it is, we are saying that we acknowledge that we are not in control and allow whatever happens to be without forcing ourselves or trying to control the situation. We are then able to create right action, to do what is necessary in that moment. We may suffer losses and we may be hurt, but we will be at peace and we will have no regrets. In accepting things the way they are, we are able to accept ourselves the way we are, and thus we are able to find peace. Peace brings calm, and a calm warrior in the heat of battle is virtually unbeatable. What is right action, sensei? The boy asked in a solemn tone. To which the old man replied, you will know it when you have created it. This has been your lesson for today. After his first lesson. That evening after his first lesson, Naruto made his way to the Hokage monument to contemplate what his new sensei taught him. He was sitting atop the Yandame's head and was looking at the village below. In his mind the cruel words, harsh glares and accusations of the villagers flooded back into his mind. This is my life, he said. I will always be ignored and rudely treated for a reason that I do not know. I do not know my parents. They died in the Kublai attack. They died protecting the village, protecting me. They fought with everything because they believed that my life and the lives of the villagers were worth protecting. My parents were heroes and there are still people who care for me, Gigi, Irika, Tucci, and Ayam. I cannot turn my back on all that they have given me. I must train and become strong. And thus began the life of a man who would be known throughout the world. Later that evening Naruto was sitting calmly in front of Sensei. You have done well and I see that you are beginning to take some of the words to heart. Your road will be a long and difficult one. As a student of war, and thus you will have to face many trials, but each will make you better as you go along. These precepts cannot be learnt, only lived. I have simply given you an explanation of the precepts, and each will manifest itself in one way or another during the course of your life. You need to be alert to when these moments arise. Do not rush, and do not force the timing of the lessons. Hi, old man, was the boy's respectful reply. Now I am going to teach you the principles of Go-Rin no Sho, or the Book of 5 Disciplines, and I will also be teaching you Naito-Jutsu based on the Ni-Ten Ichi-Ryu style of Kenjutsu. Go-Rin no Sho is a collection of 5 principles written by my master and father on the ways of war, tactics, and life. It consists of 5 principles that correspond to the elements of nature: wind, water, earth, fire, and void. Listen well. In the way of the shinobi, the 5 basic elements are wind, water, earth, fire, and lightning. However, the element lightning is actually a sub-element in the true elemental wheel. These elements can be used as parallels of human nature. Some people are free-spirited just like the wind and they cannot be contained or controlled, only guided. Others are tranquil and calm just like water. They are gentle and provide no obstruction to the things that happen around them. Others yet are stubborn and unmoving as the earth, and they are not easily swayed and are very headstrong and resistant to change. While some people are volatile and passionate as fire, their desires are great, and it burns within them. A precious few people are as empty as void. They are still and empty, yet they exude a fullness of life that is hard to explain. I have been fortunate in my long life to have met such a man. In his presence, my life became insignificant. Naruto was completely engrossed by the old man's words. He was full of knowledge and wisdom. He and Gigi would make great friends, the boy thought. However, life is a circle and thus the wind calms down, the water is muddied, the earth crumbles, the fire is quelled, but void remains the same. The same can be said for war and life. Nations rise, nations fall, the weak become strong and the strong become weak. In order to truly understand, to truly master the way of war, you must understand the elements of life and how to wield their principles in battle. You have to know when to be unpredictable as the wind, fluid as water, stubborn as the earth, passionate as fire, and as empty as void. But know that these states will fade, for nothing lasts forever in war and in life. Naruto listened intently as his master spoke. The first discipline is the discipline of earth, and we shall be studying this discipline until you have understood the concepts fully. The earth is unmoving and strong. Bury these teachings in every cell of your body. Make these teachings within you as unmoving as the earth. Listen well, young one. Know the smallest things and the biggest things, the shallowest things and the deepest things. As if it were a straight road mapped out on the ground. These things cannot be explained in detail. From one thing, know 10,000 things. When you attain the way of strategy, there will not be one thing you cannot see. You must study hard. Why not just learn the important things, old man? The smallest things are useless. All that matters is the end result. The small stuff doesn't count in the long run. Oh yes, young one, the smallest things do count and are often more than the end result. The oak is the mightiest of trees, but it grows from the smallest of seeds. Does it not? Yes, but what does that have to do with knowledge and strategy? Oftentimes, the smallest details separate the victor and the dead in battle. The mighty oak would not be what it is without the tiny seed. The same can be said of battle. The loser probably did not take into consideration the location of the battle and weather. They may have overestimated themselves or underestimated their enemies and paid the price in defeat. Always remember that the greatest complexity at its root is utterly simple. Okay, old man, the boy said, not entirely convinced by the man's words. Now follow me. The old man stood up, grabbed his cane, and began walking out of the store, and Naruto silently followed. As the two made their way through the sparsely populated streets, the people couldn't help but be awed by the young boy following silently behind the old man with his cane. Some sneered and made rude comments. One villager made a particularly rude comment which elicited an angry response from the boy, which resulted in him getting whacked on his head by the old man. Ah! What was that for, old man? His ire rose even further as some of the villagers started to laugh at him. You became distracted by your anger and your thoughts. Keep focused. Those who are easily angered are often the easiest to control and the first to die. Don't become a slave to your anger, young one. Control yourself. That man is just a reflection of your own anger. I didn't do anything, he started it. The boy shouted. No, he didn't, you did. This is stupid, old man. He called me a stupid brat, didn't you hear? The boy's anger was beginning to roll out in waves. I am always being blamed for everything, even the things I did not do. I was just walking by and he called me a stupid brat for no reason. Calm down, young one. No, I am not calming down. I am sick and tired of being blamed for everything. By this time the boy was beginning to hyperventilate, and the old man could sense minute amounts of the QB's chakra slowly coming to the surface. The onlooking villagers were surprised at the boy's outburst since it was the first time they had seen him in such a state. The boy always held a happy-go-lucky attitude and always had a smile on his face. The first time they saw the boy's mask drop and they were shocked. There were similar reactions to the onlooking shinobi as well. The old man placed his hand gently on the boy's head. He is not your enemy. Before we began our little walk, where was the man? Who was he? I don't know, the boy stammered, calming down visibly. Exactly, by reacting the way you did, you fueled the fire of hatred and made a man you don't even know into an enemy. Your anger would have then turned to rage, and at that point violence is just around the corner. Do you see now? He is just a mirror reflecting your own anger at you. But I didn't do anything, old man. How did I make that man react the way he did? His uncontrolled anger was now replaced by deep curiosity. The pair resumed their journey out of the curious crowd. Above all else, man is apart on nature despite how far away we are moving away from her. All creatures in nature have an innate ability to sense danger, malicious intent, similar emotions. These are all subtle vibrations or energies that only the most sensitive are consciously aware of. However, the presence of these energies are unconsciously felt and acted upon. Make no mistake, young one, on the deepest level, the anger that the man showed came from you. Your intent was lash out and defend yourself, to fight back. He sensed it and reacted accordingly. Do you know what he reacted to? No. By this time they made their way out of the busy commercial area and were heading to the forest. Your fear, young one, that is what he reacted to. My fear? Yes, he sensed your fear. Always remember this, young one. In battle, if you can read your opponent's intent, then they have already won half the battle. Why is that? Simple. In knowing your opponent's intent, you can easily predict their actions and react accordingly. How do you learn to read another person's intent? The key to reading another person's intent is simple observation. Remember what we spoke about in the beginning. Know the smallest things and the largest? The boy had decency to be embarrassed, yeah? The small things add up little by little and eventually turn into a big result. I think I get it now. It's like the pieces of a puzzle, the whole is sum of the parts. Exactly. However, just to make sure, I have an assignment for you. What? Homework. Yes, you are to study everything about all the elemental nations, beginning with Konoha. You will study their history, economy, political and military structures. Everything to be known about these nations you will learn. That's a lot of work, old man. Well, you should begin as soon as possible. The pair continued to walk until they reached the center of one of the old training grounds. The better you are able to observe, the more you will be able to see. Nature has a secret to tell. Do you think you can discover it? A secret? You certainly don't make things easy. Nothing worthwhile in this life is ever easily obtained. Now I want you to observe your environment using all of your senses. Observe everything. Feel the wind on your skin, but do not flinch. Take in the aromas around you, but do not reject them. Take in the sights around you, but do not blink. Hear the sounds around, but do not let your concentration waver. Let nothing escape your senses. Observe with your whole body. When you can observe with your whole body, then you will never be caught off guard. We are all subject to the laws of nature. We are a part of nature. Nature contains great wisdom and is always guiding us, but in our haste and quest for power and other material things we miss all the messages that she is sending to us. The movement and sounds of the animals in the forest can alert you the presence of the enemy. Wild animals have a finely honed sense of danger. They walk the tightrope of life and death every day. Every day can be their last. They do not waste time like we do on frivolous things. Some call it a sixth sense or instinct, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that an animal is always aware of its surroundings and automatically knows when danger is nearby. Learn from them and let them guide you, they will not let you down, the old man said. This is the first step, and as your skill in observation increases, the things you can see will begin to deepen. Really? Oh yes, young one, there are wonders in this world that our senses cannot perceive. The power of observation is a key factor in the way of the warrior. You must know your environment like the back of your hand. Your life and the lives of the men you may have under your command depend on it. Take in every aspect of the battlefield. In times of war you may not be able to choose the battlefield. However, you must gain sufficient knowledge of the field in order to effectively maneuver yourself, or your men. Always remember that in battle one mistake is all it takes to lose your life and those of your men. For the next 2 hours Naruto stood at the center of the field, and struggled to observe with his whole body. At first it was difficult for the young blonde, for his mind, like many other people, was a jumbled mass of random thoughts and images. However, after a while his mind began to calm down, and he began to notice things that were not there before. He noticed a lizard crawling on the ground at the base of the rock. He also saw the little jay singing in the trees, and the smell of the forest, and the feel of the direction of the wind blowing in his hair. As he was concentrating, his master asked, "What direction is the wind blowing?" "It is blowing from the east," the boy replied. "What do you smell in the wind, and how does the wind feel?" "I smell the forest, rooting wood, and the fresh smell of the river. I also smell smoke in the air from the village and the body of a rotting animal. The wind feels slightly warm." "What do you see?" "There are lizards crawling about, birds in the trees, there are rabbits running around on the forest floor. There is also a snake coiled up in branch of that large tree over there." "What do you hear?" Once again the boy described what he heard. "I hear the birds chirping, animals rustling in the leaves, the flowing of the river, and the waterfall." Once they were finished, the old man said, "You have an excellent general sensing abilities. This means I could make things more difficult for you. His heightened senses must be to the QB. Foxes are known to have excellent senses of sight, smell, and hearing. All I need to do is refine his skills." The old man had a dangerous glint in his eyes that made Naruto gulp. Hi, old man, but why are you going to make the exercise more difficult? The answer to that question is simple, young one. In battle there will come a time when one or all of your senses may be impaired, and you need to get accustomed to fighting without the aid of one or more than one of your senses. Battle, just as life, is often unforgiving, and you need to be prepared for any eventuality. This is often the greatest weakness of Kekkei Genkai users, especially Dijitsu wielders. They are so heavily focused on their Dijitsu that they neglect the other aspects of their training. When they meet an opponent that could nullify or disable their Dijitsu, then they are lost. The greatest fear of a Dijitsu wielder is blindness. Hi sensei, I understand now. Good, now since your basic sensing skills are developed, I am going to make things a little more difficult for you, said while walking up to the boy and putting hand on the boy's shoulder. Hey old man, what you're going to do? With one deft, downward pull, the old man ripped the entire arm off the boy's jumpsuit. Are you senile, old man? That was my favorite jumpsuit. So, that thing was hideous, but don't worry, I have a suitable replacement for you, don't worry. A replacement? I don't trust you, old man. Don't worry, the old man said with a smile. Okay, if you say so. Now I want you to cover your eyes with that piece of cloth. You mean my jumpsuit? Yes, your jumpsuit. All right, old man, the boy said as he covered his eyes, waiting on his master's response. Where are you, old man? Old man? Don't tell me you're going to leave. Thwack, the boy was hit by a small rock on his head. Hey, what the hell that was for? Thwack, he was hit twice again. Sight is one of the most used of all our senses, he heard the old man say. Listen and feel the attack coming. Naruto stooped his ranting and began to focus. Thwack, he was hit again. Ah. Focus, the old man said very firmly. Do not allow the pain to drop your guard. Naruto began to focus a little more. Then he heard it, a slight whizzing coming directly at him, and he felt a shift in the air his face. He was too late to react, but he heard it. I heard it, the sound of the rock, and I felt the air as it approached my face. He took hits until all over his body there were bruises, but he was getting closer and closer to dodging the pebbles. As the weeks went by, he was able to dodge the pebbles blindfolded. During that time, the old man systematically took all of the boy's senses away from him. By far the most difficult, and the most painful sense for him to practice using was his sense of touch. This is the way Naruto trained for the next 3 months. He observed everything in his environment, the people in the streets, the stores, the trees, the parks, how they walked, talked, and expressed themselves. Everything became training for him, from his trips to Ichiraku's ramen stand to sitting in his apartment reading. There were few things that the boy did not observe. Spending so much time in nature, he developed a fondness for it, and would return to the forest to study the work that sensei gave him. Other times he would go just be in the presence of the plants and animals of the forest. It was only after Naruto read about the history and current functioning of the nations that he realized how important the little things are. From the small pheasant farmer to the merchant shops, their contributions added up to become the lifeblood of the nations. One evening while training with sensei, Naruto stood in front of his master in the center of the training field in the outskirts of Konoha with 2 wooden bakken in hand. They were the length of the standard katana, which was approximately 60 centimeters. They were about to begin the second stage of his training. He had changed his clothing at the behest of the old man since he ripped his favorite jumpsuit. He now wore a simple, pure black kimono with an orange spiral at the back. The old man commented that he looked good in the new outfit, and Naruto grudgingly admitted that it was comfortable. Today we are going to begin the second stage of your training, and the next discipline that you are going to learn is the discipline of water, Nidan Ichi Ryu and Naito Jutsu. Before we begin, can you tell me what is off about this scenery, young one? Hi sensei, there is a hidden ninja in the large tree 2 o'clock my direction. How did you discover the location of the shinobi? When the shinobi arrived, the 2 birds darted out the tree, chirping frantically. At first I thought it was a predator, possibly a snake, but I didn't see any, and then I saw the edge of their shinobi sandals just outside the bark. The old man seemed very pleased. You have done very well, your powers of observation have developed greatly. With the formerly hidden Umbu. The Umbu stood stock still, shocked beyond belief that she was spotted by the old man and the blonde boy. She looked at her feet, pointing just outside. Shit. She was an Umbu, an elite. If he is able to do this at this age, then when he gets older, Hokage-sama will be interested in this development. Back with Naruto and sensei. Water is a powerful element that can destroy in one single crashing flood or gradually eroding the obstacle. Water is the very existence of adaptation. It changes according to the situation. Thus in battle you will must become like water and adapt to the situation. Nidan Ichiryu, the school of the 2 heavens as one, has its basis in strategy and timing. The first 10 heaven, in strategy your spiritual bearing must not be any different from normal. Both in fighting and in everyday life you should be determined though calm. In life always seek balance. With balance you can adapt to any situation. You must become balanced in body, mind and spirit. Neither of these create weakness, and nor do they reveal it to the enemy. In creating balance within yourself you will be able to observe it in others, and thus you will be able to take advantage of their weaknesses. Stance is a crucial aspect of the swordsman's way. Your kami or stance can be the difference between life and death. Always keep your head straight forward and erect, not down or sideways, and keep your spine erect. This is the center line of your body and is crucial for your stance. However, although your stance is important, it can also reveal your intentions to your opponent. You must learn to use right timing to reveal your intentions to your opponent. Perceive everything around you down to the most minute of details, for against a skilled opponent if you take your eyes off of them you will be dead. Then next 10 is timing. Timing is important in dancing and pipe or string music, for they are in rhythm only if timing is good. Timing and rhythm are also involved in the warrior arts. In all skills and abilities there is timing. There is timing in the whole life of the warrior, in his thriving and declining, in his harmony and discord. Similarly, there is timing in the way of the merchant, in the rise and fall of capital. All things entail rising and falling timing. You must be able to discern this. In strategy there are various timing considerations. From the outset you must know the applicable timing and the inapplicable timing, and from among the large and small things and the fast and slow timings find the relevant timing, first seeing the distance timing and the background timing. This is the main thing in strategy. It is especially important to know the background timing, otherwise your strategy will become uncertain. With the mastery of strategy and timing you will be able to defeat 10 men as easily as you are able to defeat 1. Apply this to all areas of your life. Do you understand, young one? Yes, sensei, Naruto replied. Good, young one. Let us continue. Now on to Naito Jutsu. Naito Jutsu is a kenjutsu style that utilizes 2 swords. Usually the 2 weapons are a katana and a wakizashi. However, you will be training with 2 wooden long swords so that your body becomes balanced in the use of the 2 swords. Hi, sensei. Good, now to be a master swordsman you must attack with your body, mind and spirit. If any is lacking your attacks will be weak and indecisive, which can lead to your downfall. The pair made it to the edge of a large waterfall that was located in the training ground. Now there are 5 main stances in Kenjutsu: Joden, Chudan, Gedan, Aso, and Wake Game. The Chudan stance is the most basic of stances, and the other stances are derived from this basic stance. It is a stance that is balanced in both attack and defense. In order to perform this stance, you need to your spine straight, head erect and facing forward, with your hips straight as well. Have your left foot slightly behind your right, and keep both feet parallel to each other. The right knee should be bent and the left almost straight. Grip both bakken with a firm yet gentle grip. Let your hands be approximately 5 inches from your torso and have the tip of each bakken pointing towards the next of your imaginary opponent. The boy's form was rough, but that was to be expected. It took Naruto a week to understand and perform the 5 basic stances of the sword. Now that you understand that posture, you will be holding it under the waterfall. This will strengthen your body, mind, and spirit. The boy's eyes widened for a second before hardening into determination. "Hi, old man," the boy said. Sensei just smiled at his student. The moment made it under the waterfall, the tremendous force of the water lashed unforgivingly on his body, pushing him onto his hands and knees. He struggled under the water trying to raise his body up, when he heard Sensei's words. "Remember, young one, move with your body, mind and spirit. Anything less and you will be crushed. Don't fight the waterfall, because if you do, you will lose. You are a part of nature, part of the waterfall. Feel your body, listen to it, calm your mind, allow your spirit to come forth. Gentleness always overcomes forcefulness. Do you feel it? Do you feel your strength?" By this time Naruto had made it onto his knees under the overwhelming force of the waterfall. "Feel my body, empty my mind, and allow my spirit to come forth." Naruto closed his eyes and was trying to feel his body. In the darkness, he began to feel his body, arms, legs, shoulders, his muscles, bones, every part of his body became alive with energy. In the darkness of his mind, the noise of the waterfall faded away. "Don't fight the waterfall. If I fight it, I will lose. It is me, forceful, fighting, and unstoppable. I cannot fight myself, I cannot use force." At that moment, a strange calm overcame the boy as the waterfall began to feel lighter and lighter, like he was in his shower. The water just seemed to flow right past his body. No force, do not fight. He stood tall under the waterfall. He did it. "Yes. I did it," he thought. However, the moment he began to think, he was overwhelmed by the waterfall and swept into the river. A few minutes later he was swept onto the river bank, sprawled on the bank, looking at the sky and breathing hard. He felt a shadow looming over him. It was Sensei. "You were proud of your accomplishment, and it showed in your facial expression. What you accomplished was a glimpse of your natural state. It was nothing special. You got preoccupied with your feat and lost your way. Pride, elation, forcefulness will all get you killed in battle. Do you remember the final lesson? Never stray from the way. I remember, old man." "It was special to me, old man." "Of course it was. You are crammed fully of anger that you forgot your true strength. Seeing it for the first time, were awed by it." "My true strength, how do I find it?" "Look within." "Look within?" "Yes, young one, all the answers you need can be found inside you, not on the outside. Now try again." "Hi, old man," said the boy as he got up and went under the waterfall again with his bakken in hand. It took him 2 weeks of constant practice every day just to stand upright, under the waterfall, and stay there. It took him another 2 weeks to actually move his hands and legs. Once this was accomplished, the old man had him working on perfecting the stances under the waterfall. This was no easy task for the boy, and it took him 2 months and a half of constant practice to hold those stances under the waterfall with his bakken, without dropping his guard. Every falter, every hole in his guard resulted in him being hit with a small rock wherever the hole in his defense was found. The old man was relentless in his exploiting of the holes in his defense, and every time Naruto fell out of the waterfall and washed up onto the banks, the old man would say, "You just died there, leave no openings for your enemies to exploit." The assigned Mbu was really impressed with the training the boy was undertaking and knew that to accomplish what he did, took extreme discipline. The old man was a really good, if not ruthless, trainer. However, he was also a kind and wise man as well, and the boy was flourishing under the man's tutelage. Meeting with the discovered Mbu and the Hokage. "Yes, Hokage-sama, I was detected by young Naruto. I was discovered by a child who isn't even a genin yet, and that old man, at the rate he is developing at, who knows how far he could go. Whatever he is teaching young Uzumaki, it is causing him to develop at a rapid pace. In a few year times, this kid is truly going to be a force to be reckoned with." Sandaime-sama described the man's method of teaching, said the Sandaime. "He is patient but a bit ruthless," and the Mbu went into detail about what he heard and saw. "I learned a few things myself," the Mbu stated. Interesting. It seems that I will have to view one of these training sessions myself." The training sessions are definitely interesting, Hokage-sama. Very well then, you are dismissed. Hi Hokage-sama, and the Umbu disappeared from view. Uzumaki Naruto, he said to himself. End of meeting. As the days and weeks went by, Naruto was able to perfect all the stances under the waterfall without breaking his guard. The rigorous training had made his young body strong, and he began to put on muscle mass due to the training. The Sandaime was watching the pair as they made their way to the training ground for their day's work. Having perfected your stances, today you are going to learn about the 5 attitudes of Kenjutsu, and they are upper, lower, middle, right and left sides. But before we continue, could you tell me what amiss here, young one? Yes, sensei. There is someone around, but I cannot find their location. They are very well hidden. How did you discover them? Asked the old man. There were 3 rabbits over by the rocks near that small tree to your right. For the past hour or so they have been in that area, but just a moment ago they suddenly became agitated for no reason. There are not predators around, so the only conclusion is that there is someone nearby spying on us again. The Sandaime was shocked, but he did not show it. Naruto had almost detected him, and he was really close too, because he hid in the very tree Naruto called out. Although he was just testing the boy's sensing abilities, he had to admit that the child passed with flying colors. The boy was extremely conscious of his surroundings. The old man training methods were great to produce such a drastic improvement in young Naruto. Very well done, Naruto. Let us continue. Now, as I was saying, there are 5 attitudes of Kenjutsu. Upper, middle and lower correspond to head, chest and abdomen. The right blow to these areas are usually fatal. Left and right attitude refers to the extremities, and blows to these areas are not usually fatal, be sorely debilitating. Your attitude should be large or small according to the situation. Upper, lower and middle attitudes are decisive. Left side and right side attitudes are fluid. Left and right attitudes should be used if there is an obstruction overhead or to one side. The decision to use left or right depends on the place. Now take your stance, young one, alongside me and flow my movements. Men, head, Suki, body, do, waist, Mijai, left, Hiden, right. Naruto did as he was told, and so they began the basics of Kenjutsu. Sarutobi watched as the two continued to train in the way of the sword. He saw that the man was harsh and unforgiving, but he was also wise, and Sandaime could see that he cared for Naruto deeply. Naruto is in good hands, this will do the boy well. He then faded into thin air. Naruto practiced the 5 attitudes until his arms were sore and his application of the strikes became flawless. Your understanding of the 5 attitudes is flawless. Now you are going to learn the different techniques of Naito-jutsu, and thus swordsmanship. Before I begin, I would like to tell you about the true essence of swordsmanship. The true essence of swordsmanship? Don't we just cut down our enemies? Asked the boy. No, young one, most swordsmen believe that our art is about the techniques and defeating the enemy just as you do. Sensei turned away and was facing the waterfall, looking up at the cascading water with a somber look on his face. Naruto knew the words that he was about to hear would be some of the most important that he would hear his master speak. The old man began. Swordsmanship ultimate ideal develops in 3 stages. This ideal begins with the unity of swordsman and sword. In this unity, even a blade of grass or a stick is a weapon. In the second stage, the sword no longer exists in one's hands but in one's heart. But even when absent from one's hand, you can strike an enemy with your hands as if they were swords. By this time, Naruto was totally absorbed in the man's words. The first 2 achievements of the swordsman pale in comparison. The final and ultimate achievement of the swordsman is the absence of sword in both hand and heart. The swordsman is at peace with himself and the rest of the world. He vows not to kill and seeks to bring peace to mankind. Peace? But isn't a sword a weapon, a tool to kill? Oh yes, they are, young one, no doubt about that. Swords are used to kill, it is that simple. However, the sword is a paradox that makes sense and at the same time doesn't make sense. I don't understand. In this world, there are only 2 types of swords. Only 2? The boy responded in amazement. He read a book about the different types of swords and blades. How can there be only 2? Yes, and these 2 swords are the Katsujinkan, or the life-giving sword, and the Satsujinkan, or life-taking sword. Any sword, any blade falls into either one of these 2 categories. If you kill a man who is about to murder innocent children, then in the act of killing that man your sword becomes life-giving. However, you took the man's life, and however evil he may be, it was still a life, and thus your sword becomes a life-taking sword. Even further, these terms can be used as way of life and of swordsmanship, either to take or preserve life. Do you understand what is at stake when you take up a blade and point it at another human being? No, you do not. It is only when the tip of your blade is at your enemy's throat, and he is begging for life, will you truly understand these words. Only then will you understand the power of the blade. Naruto was speechless. The old man's words were stuck in his mind and he could not get them out. The old man sighed. Your lesson is done for today. We shall meet tomorrow at 5 p.m. to continue your training. Let us leave this place. Without a word, they left the training ground. Later that evening at Ichiraku's ramen stand, Naruto was enjoying his favorite dish of all time, ramen. His mind was still on the words of the old man at the end of their training session. Those words had put a weight on his heart, and he did not know how to get it off. So, Naruto, how have you been? I haven't seen you around for a while. You must be really working hard in the academy? Old man Tucci asked his number one customer. No, old man, I am not in the academy anymore. I am not going to be a ninja of Konoha. With that statement, Tucci just stopped what he was doing. You're not going to be a ninja of Konoha. What about your dream to be Hokage? I have found something more important than being Hokage. What is it, Naruto? Peace of mind, old man. To me, peace of mind is more important than being Hokage, and I had anything but peace of mind in the academy, in the village. So you don't like Konoha anymore? Despite everything, this is my home, even though it causes me a great deal of pain. I understand. You are developing into a fine young man, Naruto. Keep up the good work. Naruto gave him a truly genuine smile. Thanks, old man. Hey, where is Ayam? I haven't seen her around. Oh, Ayam is in Otafukigai taking care of her sick aunt. She will not be back for some time. Oh, okay, that's really nice of her. That's just who she is, Naruto. For the rest of the evening, the duo engaged in animated conversation with each other. The following day with Naruto and Sensei. Naruto and Yushi met at the designated time and were making their way through the streets of Konoha. Anytime Naruto lost concentration or became preoccupied, he was smacked on the head by Yushi. Smackings were the ritual between the two as they walked and spoke with each other. The villagers were curious about the boy's new dress code of the simple black kimono with an orange spiral at the back. Did he give up on being a ninja? The pair walked until they left the districts and were beginning to enter the training grounds. They continued to walk into an unfamiliar part of the Konoha training grounds. Where are we going, Sensei? We are going to a place where you are going to train and learn the most important secret of swordsmanship. Something that is more important than any technique or any skill you might learn. What is that, old man? Instinct, young one. The will to survive, to fight for one's life. To be at the brink of death. That is more important than any technique or any skill. Survive? The boy said, noticing that they were approaching a large fenced-off forest with large metal gates equally spaced. Welcome to the Forest of Life, your new home. My new home? Yes, you will be living and training here until you are ready to serve with the rest of the military forces of Konoha. But old man, all I have is my baken. What will I eat and where will I sleep? You have everything you need and you will have to find your own food and place to sleep. Nature will teach you more than I ever could. We will train with your kenjutsu techniques, and we will also begin your taijutsu training as well. This is Umbu recruit training he is giving the boy. Sandame-sama will definitely be interested in this, thought the Umbu. The boy perked up a little at the thought of more training. I will come here sometime to train you, after which you will spend the night in the forest. Listen to your instincts, listen to your body because the body always knows, listen to your sword, listen to your spirit, and listen to nature. Learn from her, she is your greatest teacher. Live. I will see you sometime, young one. One last bit of advice before I leave. Animals instinctively knows how to identify fear. Hi, you crazy old man. Is this old man crazy? The Umbu thought. At that moment he felt the old man's presence behind him. How did I not feel him until he was directly behind me? Umbu-san, please don't interfere with the boy's training. I am under the orders of the Hokage, sir, not you. Very well then, Umbu-san, I understand, and the man disappeared. What the hell, thought a surprised Umbu. This kid is being trained by such a man. Later at the Hokage's office. Hello there, Hokage-sama, I came here with a request. My Umbu already informed me of your request. You have done a remarkable job with the boy, but leaving an 11-year-old child in the forest of death is irresponsible. No, it is necessary training. He is young, yes, but he has had a hard life and it will only get harder. When he goes out into the world, he will have to fight to survive and to ensure the survival of those around him. I do agree with you, but his condition makes him unique. So you're saying his life is worth more than his peers, Sarutobi-sama? Though I hate to admit it, yes it is. His life is more valuable than most in the village. You have lost your way, Sarutobi. In nature no life is more important than the other. All are equal under heaven. All are equal under heaven? Yes, they are, and a man of your vast experience, especially with war, should know this. The boy needs to face his own mortality. He needs to be surrounded by the possibility of his death, for his life to be constantly on the line. Naruto was in the forest of death for the first time. His sense of danger was on high alert. He did not know where he was, and the feeling of fear rose from deep within his being. The grip on his wooden bakken tightened instinctively. All around him, all he could feel was death. Mushi-san, you know of his condition as a Jinchuriki. He is a valuable village asset. An asset that will die in the first serious encounter in battle, because he has not grown beyond his fear, replied Mushi. The boy was in the forest, with his mind moving at 1,000,000 miles per minute. What do I do now? Then he remembered the old man's words, let your instincts guide you. I need to find shelter and food. Yes, I know, but only when his life is on the line will he know the true fear of death. Only then can he gather the courage to transcend his fear. As Naruto made his way through the huge forest, his senses told him to turn left. As he turned to face the direction his senses told him to, he was greeted by the sight of a ferocious wild boar. The animal was easily 4 times his size and had huge tusks protruding out of its mouth and muscles that could be seen even through its thick, tough hide. The hairs on the back of the boy's neck rose in fear of the situation he was faced with. His primal instincts told him to run, but he couldn't. He was in unknown territory, and who knows what else he would run into if he blindly ran through the forest. He needed to stand his ground and fight. He would not die here to this animal. The hidden Umbu looked on at the confrontation between the boy and the beast. The shinobi knew that was a very terrible situation for a child to face. But then the Umbu saw the look of determination in the eyes of the child. This kid! Naruto looked at the beast in the eyes and held his bakken in his hand. Time seemed to slow down as 2 of nature's children squared off in deadly combat. The wild animal thrust forward at him with incredible speed. The boy was just able to dodge the initial onslaught by the savage beast. However, his kimono was cut by the long tusk of the boar. A long gash remained but quickly began to heal as a result of the QBI. Sarutobi listened carefully as the man spoke. He must learn fear and never forget its lessons. You are taking him too close to death's door, Mushi said the Sandaime in a grave tone. Naruto barely dodged another ferocious charge by the wild animal. It is necessary, Sarutobi. Yes, it is necessary to protect him at all costs. You mean, cripple him at all costs? Only the strongest warriors know such fear, because they stared death in the face and overcame it. The 2 beings circled each other warily with their gazes locked on each other. Sarutobi couldn't disagree with the man's words, but he was still fearful for the boy's life. He relented. Very well then, my Umbu will not interfere in the boy's training. Thank you, Sarutobi Dano. The boy will not die, he is too much of a knucklehead to do so. Sarutobi could only chuckle at the man's word because they were true. The boy knew that there were very few places that he could hit the wild beast that would actually hurt with his bakken. In order to win, he needed to hit vital areas. His life will be at more danger than ever. Do you really think his enemies will spare him on the battlefield? I would hope so, Sarutobi said in a mirthful tone. Preoccupied with how to kill the animal, he did not see the root of a tree protruding out of the ground and lost his balance. The boar struck. Naruto saw the beast rushing at him as he was unbalanced. Time seemed to flow in slow motion as the beast closed in on him. He saw the sharp tusks of the animal aimed directly for the center of his chest. The Umbu was about to intercept the animal before to impale the poor child. However, the boy had a strange look in his eyes that completely stopped the shinobi in his tracks. He quickly shifted his shoulder, which resulted in him getting a wicked diagonal slash across his chest. The blow sent upward about 20 feet and slammed him into the trunk of a large tree and fell limply into the ground. He escaped certain death. Seeing the body of its prey laying still on the forest floor, the large animal cautiously made its way to claim its prize. The boy lay on the ground, motionless on the ground, with his toe bakken on the ground and a large, bleeding, diagonal gash across his chest. The boy's eyes were closed. I was preoccupied with my fear, with this forest, the beast. I failed to see everything effortlessly. I failed to truly see. I have been alone and ignored all my life. Ha! How ironic, I have been called a demon and monster, and here I am fighting for my life in a forest of death. I am who I am and I cannot control the events of life. The boy slowly stood up and righted himself. He looked up at the forest, at himself and the beast. The beast stopped in its tracks and eyed the boy curiously. It is just a beast, and I am just a human being, and this is just a forest. In the eyes of Kami, myself, this tree, this beast, we are all insignificant. If I am to die here, in this forest created by Kami, then so is it. With that realization, a strange calm overtook the boy. It was almost frightening. I am too calm to be in such a situation. His vision became clear. The whole forest just seemed to come alive. I can see. My sight is so clear that I could see the bugs crawling on the forest floor, and the movements of the muscles in the beast's body are as clear as day. What has happened to the boy? I sense no fear in him at all. He has changed somehow. It is as if he is here but not here, thought the hidden ANBU. I am sorry, my friend, but you will not be taking my life this day, the boy said to the great beast. The savage beast became agitated by the peaceful stare of the young boy in front of it. I see you, my friend, and if you charge again you will die. The beast began to huff and grunt in agitation, unsure of whether to attack or defend. Slowly it began to retreat in an unsure manner. It could no longer smell the fear rolling off the boy. The animal was afraid, as if cornered. The boy sensed the agitation in the animal and knew that it was going to attack. He would have to kill the beast. He would make it a quick and painless death. Right then Sensei's words came to his mind. Your body always knows, listen to it, let it guide you. Listen to your sword. In a feral grunt the animal charged. In his peaceful state, the boy was unafraid. He could see every movement, every breath of the wild beast charging towards him. The boy had a smile on his face. The boy is smiling, is he crazy? The Umbu thought. The beast began to lower its head for the upward thrust with its sharp tusks. Naruto watched as the tusks approached him, ready to take his life. Everything just seemed to slow down for him, and he could smell the stench of the beast's breath. Let your body and your sword guide you. As the beast raised its head to apply the finishing blow, the boy's body moved on its own. He sidestepped the charge and he stood in a crouching position underneath the exposed throat of the beast as its head reached the pinnacle of the attack. Attack with your body, mind and spirit. In one fluid motion he brought his two bakken together and poured his whole being into one attack, into the throat of the great beast. During the attack, he couldn't tell where he began and the sword ended. He knew exactly where he was going to attack the beast and when. In that moment timing and strategy became one, and the result was beautiful and deadly. At the pinnacle of the beast's attack its neck will be totally exposed and vulnerable. With a sharp force at the base of the jaw, Naruto shattered the connection between the beast's spinal cord and brain. It dropped dead in a loud crash before it could even make a sound. In a single stroke it was dead. A single stroke was the difference between life and death, Naruto thought. Beautiful is what the Umbu thought. The boy stood alongside the dead beast huffing and puffing after his first true life and death experience. He was thankful to the great beast for the lesson it taught him. Domo arigato Borsan, for the lesson you have taught me. He gave a respectful bow and continued his voyage into the forest. Man, what a first day, he said to himself. 2 weeks later. It had been 2 weeks since Naruto began his training in the forest. He survived by hunting small wild animals like rabbits, birds, and he fished regularly in the river. He continued to train in what Sensei had taught him, but he also trained in learning to listening to his body and his sword. Currently his was taking a break in a large clearing. He was leaning on a large tree eating some wild edible berries that he found. He had found out the hard way what berries were edible and those that weren't. He also never let his guard down, and he never left his back open. He developed a very acute sense of danger living in a forest where you could be attacked at any moment. During his little break, Naruto heard the slight crunching of leaves behind the tree, and instantly grabbed his bakken from his side and went on the alert. Ah! Good young one, your senses are sharpening. Old man, you left me in this bloody forest, and on the very first day I had to fight for my life. Are you crazy? Forest of life, my ass, said the boy in his fit of rage. Stop complaining, this is just the beginning of your training. What, just the beginning? Yes, I already told you that the training will be tough. Do you wish to quit? No, but it's just that this is so new to me. This is the life of the warrior. We face the unknown every day. The idea of security is an illusion, it isn't real. It dampens our senses and makes us dull and inattentive. Security is an illusion? Yes. Danger lurks at every corner, especially for a warrior. You cannot let your guard down. That is what this forest is teaching you. It is teaching you a simple fact of life. Enough talk, time to begin your training. What am I going to learn? Before we go into any of the sword techniques of Naito-jutsu, you need to understand the concept of Maya and Ki. What about chakra, old man? Don't samurai use chakra? Yes, almost all modern-day samurai use chakra, but you are going to learn to use a deeper, more potent source of energy, Ki. With this energy you may be able to achieve feats that very few samurai were able to achieve. What are these feats, old man? The boy asked excitedly. You are not ready yet, was Mushi's simple reply. Naruto knew that was the end of that conversation. When Mushi had nothing more to say, he had nothing more to say. So going back to the topic at hand, Naruto asked, what is Ki, old man? Listen very carefully, this lesson will be the foundation of everything you will learn from here on out. Hi, old man. Very well then, you have been taught that chakra is the result of mixing the energy produced by the cells of the body and the mental and spiritual energy gained from exercise and experience. It is what shinobi use to execute ninjutsu and genjutsu techniques. What about taijutsu? Taijutsu mostly uses energy produced by the cells of the body. However, taijutsu experts and high-level shinobi often use chakra to augment their taijutsu skills. Understand, young one? Yes, I understand. Ki, on the other hand, is the energy of the universe. The energy of the universe? Isn't chakra the energy of the universe? The boy asked in confusion. No. Chakra is produced by our bodies, you can think of it as diluted ki. Let me explain further. Okay. As I was saying, ki is the energy of the universe, it is the thread that connects all things. From the minerals of the earth to man, it is the glue that holds the universe together, and it engenders growth and transformation. Ki is the beginning, middle and end of all activity in the universe. Ki does not cause change, it is present before, during and after any change. Change is simply a manifestation of what was already inherent in the previous state. I don't understand, old man. Okay. Look at that tree over there, said the man, pointing to one of the numerous large trees in around them. Now before that tree came to be, it was first a seed. However, the seed and the tree are completely different things, yet the tree comes from the seed. Does it not? Yes. Therefore, the manifestation of the tree was already inherent in the seed, although the seed is tiny and the tree is very large. Ah, said the boy, like the chicken or the egg? Yes, they are both manifestations of each other. Yet, each are different possibilities of the same energy, the same ki. Do you understand now? Yes, I do. Now the ki of the universe has bounds. The old man said, picking up a stick from the ground, and continued, there are two types of ki, yin and yang. Yin ki is heavy and dark, and from it the earth was born. Yang, on the other hand, was light and clear, and thus formed the heavens. The man said while drawing the yin-yang symbol. The outer circle represents the bounds of yin and yang, while yin is represented by the color black and yang the color white. They move in a never-ending circle, perfectly in tune with each other. Naruto listened with rapt attention to what was being told to him. Ki of yin was cold, and once accumulated formed water. Whereas the boy finished the sentence for him. Ki of yang was hot, and when accumulated formed fire. Am I right, old man? Yes, you are very good, young one, you are beginning to understand. Can you tell me about the earth and wind elements? Asked the old man. Earth will definitely be yin, since it is by definition heavy and dark. Wind will be yang, since it is light and clear. Excellent, young one. That is why on the shinobi elemental wheel fire is enhanced by wind and water is muddied by the earth. This is because fire and wind are both yang-natured elements, while water and earth are both yin-natured elements. This is also why water and fire cancel each other out, and earth and wind are unable to overcome each other. Understand? Yes, old man, this is very interesting. The old man chuckled. Yes, it is, young one, yes, it is. Yin and yang, earth and heaven, through their unity, the four seasons. Can you explain the four seasons were born? Can you describe the seasons in terms of yin and yang, young one? Yes, old man. Winter will be yin since it's cold, whereas summer will be yang because it is hot. Spring, which is the transition between winter and summer, will be a varying mixture of both yin and yang ki as the season changes from winter to summer. It will also be the same for autumn, which is the transition from fall to winter. Very good, young one. All of nature is a cycle of change. Autumn flows into winter, winter to spring, spring to summer, and summer to autumn. The cold harshness of winter gives way to the promise of the vitality and rebirth of spring. Nothing lasts forever, and the cycle continues. Now both living and non-living things have ki, since it is basically the glue that holds the universe together. Chakra, however, is limited to only living beings. Chakra is cultivated and enhanced through physical training and concentration exercises. Ki is also enhanced through physical training and exercises, but the most important aspect of ki training is achieving the simultaneous movement and stillness of body and mind. Then it is just a matter of projecting this stillness outward. How could the body is something that we use do all sorts of things? How can you achieve both movement and stillness? Asked the boy. That is an excellent question, young one, and you will have to find the answer on your own. On my own? You don't make anything easy, old man. I told you already that nature contains all the answers. Giving you the answers to all your questions is not making you stronger, it is making you weaker. I am a guide to show you the way to your strengths, but it is a path that you walk alone. Discovering the true meaning of things yourself will bring you strength and wisdom, and there will be a grace and simplicity to what you do. There are 3 aspects of ki that you must understand in order to fully utilize this primordial energy. What are they, old man? Simplicity, change, and constancy. Simplicity, the root of substance of ki. As I said before, ki is the fundamental essence behind everything in the universe. The root of all substance is plainly and utterly simple. No matter how complex a thing may be, at its core it totally simple. It is the building block of all existence, yet its essence is simple. Variability, the use of substance. I have taught you that everything in the universe is subject to change. It is no different for ki. Thus, you need to be able to perceive the various manifestations of ki and be able to adapt to them and utilize them. Constancy, the essence of substance. Although the manifestations of ki vary, ultimately it does not matter what form the energy takes or how it is used, it is all the same ki. Hi, sensei. Now the second thing I have to teach you is about Maya. Maya in its simplest term is the interval or space between 2 fighters. Distance, time, rhythm and angle all affect Maya. There are 2 types of Maya, physical and mental. Physical Maya refers to the actual distance between 2 fighters, which can be tama or long distance, idoma or middle distance, and chikama or short distance. Maya varies with each fighter. A fast opponent will have a greater Maya than a slow opponent. For this reason, speed will be a very important factor in your training. The mental aspect of Maya refers to gaps in you or your opponent's awareness. It is rooted in the concept of kyojitsu and refers to the emptiness and fullness of a person's ki. The gaps in awareness and kyojitsu combine to form mental the Maya. So what you're saying is that I could have physical Maya and not mental Maya, right? Yes, and if you don't have both in battle, you are as good as dead against a skilled opponent. So what causes a disruption of mental Maya? Asked the boy. A break in concentration, fear, doubt, surprise, confusion, and breathing in, all cause a break in your mental Maya. Once your opponent is in this state, your attacks have the greatest chance of success. How does breathing in cause a lapse in mental Maya? Because when we breathe in, our diaphragm contract and pull down on and our lungs expand, decreasing the pressure in our chest. Molecules always move from an area of higher pressure to lower pressure. With the pressure lower within the body, then without air rushes into our lungs. In this moment the diaphragm and lungs are not in their natural resting state. Therefore this presents a moment of vulnerability to the opponent. The boy finished. Excellent. However, achieving the timing to strike in that moment is extremely difficult. To achieve this you have to become one with the breath of your opponent. The best time to do this is when your opponent is tired and it is easy to follow their breathing. Continuing on, young one, using their ki and Maya, samurai is able to create a field of awareness that alert them to anything that enters it. The field is created when the samurai extends their ki to the very edge of their tama. They are able to know when and where a person enters the field and are able to attack or defend at a moment's notice. Thus they are never caught unaware once they maintain the field. Cool. Yes, cool. Your lesson is done for today. I will return in about 6 weeks and by then you should be able to access your ki. Also, I want you to study this scroll inside out, handing the boy a medium-sized scroll marked the human body and its meridians. We will be starting you taijutsu training when I return. Yes, old man. Here is some advice, the old man said as he began to leave the forest. The more you think about something, the more you narrow your eyes in desperation to see, and the more difficult it becomes to find the answer. When something is too difficult to see, then try closing your eyes. The boy was confused by the man's words but still took them to heart as he looked on at the retreating form of the old man into the forest. The energy of the universe. It had been a month since the last meeting between Naruto and his master. The scroll the old man gave contained detailed information about the human body and its meridians that proved very difficult for the boy to understand. However, despite the complexity of the information, Naruto studied hard. His ki training was coming along nicely and he was beginning to understand the concept of what the old man was saying. In the beginning, he was really struggling to access his ki, and he was trying hard to understand the old man's words. To understand and utilize ki, he needed to understand the nature of ki, but the old man already told him everything about ki. What am I missing? Was the question that ran through the boy's mind as he made his way to the river that became his usual resting spot in the forest. He stood at the river's edge and was looking at the water as it ebbed and waned on the bank. It was then that the old man's words came back to his mind. The more you think about something, the more you narrow your eyes in desperation to see, and the more difficult it becomes to find the answer. When something is too difficult to see, then try closing your eyes. And this is what Naruto did. He closed his eyes. Listen to your instincts, listen to your body because the body always knows, listen to your sword, listen to your spirit, and listen to nature. Learn from her, she is your greatest teacher. He focused more on the movement of the water. It came crashing into the shore, yet it retreated gently as it flowed back into the river. Yin and yang, force and gentleness, high and low, left and right. They are all part of the same movement, and yet the return to where they came. All things are not the end in themselves, they always return. But to what? The boy looked more closely at the water as it came and left. It came from the river and returned to it. The river is the source. It is what the old man said in the lesson. The river is the source and the waves ebb and flow from it. Ki does not cause change. It is present before, during and after any change. Change is simply a manifestation of what was already inherent in the previous state. Stillness and movement are just different sides of the same thing. Movement ends in stillness and starts from it. In the end, it is all the same ki everywhere. It doesn't matter if I am moving or still, fighting or resting, the ki doesn't change, it is always present. Then in order to use ki and sense it, I cannot be distracted by the different forms it takes. It is all the same ki, all the same energy. With this realization, the whole environment became different, it felt more alive. In him there was an absence of fear, he was calm. He began to feel the ki rising up within his body. He held the energy within his body and reveled in the feeling. He tried to keep the ki there, but his concentration faltered and the ki faded back into his being. It was nearing the end of the 6-week period and his ki sensing abilities had increased greatly. He could now feel the ki within the things around him, and this resulted in an increase of his sensing abilities. Now he could easily identify the location of the hidden Umbu. Even though they were skilled at hiding their chakra, they could never hide their ki. The forest of death no longer held any fear for him, it was so full of life now. He remembered the old man's words on the first day he was introduced to the forest. Welcome to the forest of life, young one. The boy began to laugh. Hey, old man. You sure know what you are talking about. The Umbu guard thought that the boy was going mad. As he said he would, the old man returned on the 6th week to train Naruto in the forest. Naruto was sitting a little distance away from the river. He had now just caught his dinner and was eating the fish raw. He didn't want to attract any of the wild beasts in the forest. It would just mean unnecessary killing. Sitting eating his meal, he felt an object touching the back of his neck. How did you get here without me sensing you, old man? The Umbu was thinking the same, as he tried to figure out how the old man evaded his detection as well. 3 reasons, young one. Reason number 1, I notice you are able to sense ki around you, but your ability is limited. You can identify individual ki signatures, but you have yet to develop your field of awareness. I will help you with that. Reason number 2, there are 2 ways to enter a person's field of awareness undetected. One way is to lack intent, and the second way is to be as innocent as a child. Reason number 3 is that I am just that good. Has stupid old man. Wet behind the ears, little punk. Nice to see you, old man. It's good to see you haven't died, young one. The pair shared a light-hearted laugh with each other. So, old man, you said you will help me develop my field of awareness. Yes, but before I do, I need to determine your Mai. In order to that, I need to show you how to use your ki to enhance your speed. So how do I do that? You have learned to access the ki in your body. Now all you have to do is to pour the maximum amount of ki that the muscles of your body can take to move. So that's why you had me learn the human body in detail. Yes, that is one reason, although there are others. To a samurai, speed is of the utmost importance. You need to be able to move like the wind and win in one decisive stroke of your blade. No protracted battles, no flashy moves, and no wastage of energy and movement. Use the right technique for the right situation. You need to be able to kill in a single blow, and so quickly that your opponent doesn't even know that they are dead. Ichi-geki Hisatsu, 1 strike, 1 kill. That is what you are aiming for, and that is what you will achieve with this training. Life or death in a single stroke was the boy's only reply as images of his death match between himself and the wild boar came to his mind. Yes, you now understand the essence of samurai battle. Now I would like you to get into your ready stance. The boy did as he was told, going into his ready stance perfectly with no holes in his defense. Good, now I want you to take one step and strike horizontally with your bakken. Once again, the boy did as he was told. Remember that range well, for it is your chikama or your close striking range. Any opponent within that range will be struck unless they are quicker or have greater reflexes than you. Your itoma or middle striking range is approximately twice to 3 times your chikama, and your opponent needs to be fairly quick to avoid your strikes at such a range. The boy just listened attentively to his master's words. Go 20 paces away from me and I want you to launch an attack at me. Pour as much ki as possible into your muscles for your movement. Remember to attack with your whole being. Naruto nodded and launched himself at the man, leaving a small dust cloud. He is fast for a kid his age, the Umbu thought. The old man easily avoided the attack. Not bad, but your body can handle more ki and left a small dust cloud which alerted me to your attack. Even though it is small and quite impressive for a kid at this stage of your training. The small dust cloud broadcasts your movements. Always remember, leave no trace of your movements. You must kill your opponent before they even have time to react. Back to your position and try again, the old man in a firm voice. Naruto just nodded and was turning to walk back to his spot. He knew that when the old man spoke him in that manner, he meant serious business that would result in serious pain if he did not immediately obey. Before he could start his journey back to his original spot, he heard the old man's voice. I did not tell you walk back. Return the way you came. How am I going to do that? The old man just shrugged. The boy stopped in a contemplative state for a while before he smiled and reappeared at his original spot. Yushi smiled. You are beginning to get it now. You are learning to use your ki and your mai. It was rather easy to figure out, old man. It was all the same energy. So all I had to do was use the same amount of energy to return that I used to reach. So the man said, motioning for the boy to continue. So if I use more ki I will be able to reach the same distance in a shorter time, the boy said, catching on to where the man was trying to lead him. Excellent, now try again. Hi, was the boy's reply. The old man had stayed in the forest with Naruto to continue his ki and mai training. Through his training, Naruto discovered that the physical aspect of his mai was 30 feet. This came as surprise to Mushi for one so young to have such a large tama. He knew it had something to do with the boy's burden, as it also contributed to his heightened senses. Sarutobi needs to tell the boy of his burden, the man thought. This meant the maximum distance that Naruto could unleash an attack at full power with his current speed was 30 feet. The old man also taught Naruto to extend his ki to edge of his tama. Naruto had questioned him about this. Flashback. Hey old man, why do I have to extend my ki to my tama and no further? If ki is the energy of the universe, can't I just extend it everywhere? That's a good question, and it all boils down to efficiency. Why extend it further than you need it? Your field of awareness allows you to know exactly where someone or something is located, and you are able to respond accordingly. Although ki is the energy of the universe, that does not mean that you can misuse it. Just like chakra, if you use more than is used to sustain life, then you will die. So how do I control my ki? Physical and mental exercises and understanding the nature of things will allow you to control ki. The stronger your body, the more ki you can use, and the better you are able to handle the strain of ki techniques. The more still your mind is, the more sensitive your awareness will be. The old man knew that had a lot of stamina, because he literally ran the boy into the ground with training, and the boy still came back for more. He knew that the source of this incredible stamina was due to the presence of the QB within the boy. He knew without a doubt that the boy can handle some of the more ki-intensive techniques. So are you going to teach me ki techniques? Yes, I am, but you have much to do before learn those skills. End flashback. Now young one, as I said before, your field of awareness allows you to detect and attack, if you so choose, anyone or anything that enters that field. However, you must understand that the field is extremely sensitive to a person's intent. How so, old man? Intent is the closest thing you can get to ki, but not exactly like it. Therefore, intent or thought creates a disturbance in the samurai's field of awareness, and that is how it is almost impossible to catch a real samurai off guard. The intent to do harm is very easy to discern because it is forceful and violent. It causes a great disturbance in a samurai's sense of awareness. Cool. Yes, cool. I felt the same way when my father taught me about the field of awareness. This is the samurai's greatest weapon against the shinobi, who specializes in stealth and back attacks. It forces them out into the open. Really? Was the boy's surprised reply. Yes, the samurai and the shinobi live by two opposing codes that are often at odds with each other. The samurai believed in facing your opponent face to face and valued loyalty and honor amongst other virtues. They do not fear death, and I will even go as far to say that they welcome death. They do not know the meaning of retreat and surrender. They follow a code of gentlemanly conduct and took to educating themselves in the way of art, calligraphy, math, economics, tea ceremonies, and proper decorum. Of which you have yet to learn, but you definitely will be learning. Why learn those things? They sound boring, the boy replied genuinely. They are necessary because there are times when the sword is not necessary, and when you put down your sword, there must be something else to fill the gap. If there is nothing to fill the gap, you will just become another bloodthirsty killer, and I will have to kill you. The boy's eyes grew wide. Kill me? Yes, should you choose to walk such a path, you would bring disgrace to the name of the Nidanichi Ryu. Our school has already gone through such a bloody period with my father before he founded the school, and as a result gathered many enemies. I will not allow any student of mine follow the same path. There will be times when you will have to draw your blade, for example in the service of your daimyo and Hokage. In such a case you show no mercy to your enemies, but to seek out fame through violence brings shame to the teachings. I understand, and I promise that I will not bring shame to the Nidanichi Ryu, the boy said solemnly while giving a deep bow to the old man, who responded with a firm and solemn nod. Continuing, the shinobi on the other hand were mercenaries and worked for the highest bidder. In the old days, it was not uncommon to find shinobi of the same clan fighting on opposite sides of the battlefield. They relied on stealth, sabotage, ambushes and assassinations, and as you know they utilized nin, gen and taijutsu techniques that make them formidable opponents. Bloodline holders make an already formidable opponent even more dangerous. Thus, by being virtually unable to be caught off guard, a true samurai takes away one of the shinobi's greatest assets, which is stealth. That's really cool, old man. Now don't get too excited there, because pride always comes before the fall. There are two ways to enter a samurai's field of awareness undetected. The first way is if an opponent lacks any particular intent. Because they lack intent, they are able to enter the samurai's field of awareness with causing a disturbance. Only master-class samurai and certain high-level ninja are able to achieve such a feat. The other way to enter a samurai's field of awareness is to be completely innocent, lacking any desire to cause harm. Only babies and young children are known to possess such innocence. Now, from now on, always keep your field of awareness up. Even during sleep? Once you have maintained the field for a long period of time, keeping the field up during sleep becomes second nature, just like any skill. You need to practice. This is what Naruto practiced for a couple of weeks, until the old man decided to go to the next level of his training. Your progress has been great so far. Now you are ready to learn the Naidojutsu sword techniques. The boy's eyes lit up with eager anticipation at the prospect of new techniques. Some of the techniques of Naidojutsu are not actual techniques, but rather philosophies of attacking. My father was not one for elaborate techniques, and he firmly believed that the ultimate at the end, that the sword's simply a tool to kill your opponent. Okay, was the boy's short reply. The most important concept and philosophy of Naidojutsu is the strike of non-thought. It is not an actual sword technique, but rather a state of the swordsman's mind. This means that when you attack to kill. When you defend not to be overcome. When you face death in the face, you smile. When you seek to protect, let no one be harmed. When you are in this state, all your actions will be true. There is no middle ground, no half-hearted attempts. Remember the third rule of Dakoto? Yes. Do not, under any circumstances, depend on a partial feeling. This is very important in battle. Partial feelings create doubt in battle, and doubt in battle often result in death. When you are in a life and death battle, but you do not want to kill your opponent, your sword will not be true. If you are defending yourself and you are worried about getting hit, your defense will not be true. If you stare death in the face and you are afraid, then she will most assuredly claim your life. If you are protecting your country and worry about losing the lives of your people, then they will die. You gave your all, there is no middle ground. Once you attain the state on non-thought, all your strikes will be true. So how do I achieve this, old man? Simple as I said before, when you attack to kill. When you defend, your opponent cannot get past you. When you protect your lord and your people, they do not get harmed. That is why you should not take the drawing of your blade lightly. Yes, I think I understand. I must not doubt myself, otherwise I will lose my life and the lives of those who I am called to protect. Yes, that is correct. This school is not one for cowards and the weak-minded. This leads into the second concept of Naito-jutsu, which is no design, no conception. This is where your words and actions are the same. If you tell a man that you are going to kill him, let your actions follow through with your words. Utter not words that you will not or cannot follow through on. Your word is your bond and sets you apart from other men. Stay true to your word and do not make idle threats. If you say you're going to do something, do it. It is as simple as that. These two principles are what will set you apart from others and will make you both feared and respected. Hi, was the boy's simple reply. Now I am going to teach you an actual technique, and it is called in-one timing. It means to simply bide your time until an opening presents itself, and with that opening you strike one fatal blow. The key to this technique is the combination of speed and evasion. You must evade until your opponent falter, and then you must strike your opponent like lightning, killing them in a single strike. So how am I going to do that? You will first begin by drawing a circle that represents your chikama. The boy did as he was told. Now you are not to move from that circle, the man said as he gathered leaves from the ground. I am going to throw these leaves in the air within your range. Do not let a leaf touch the ground or else. Naruto gulped, because he knew exactly what came after or else. Naruto practiced what he called the falling leaf exercise of death until he could cut down 50 leaves without one dropping on the ground. The next step of his in-one timing training consisted of him simply evading strikes from the old man. This was a very difficult thing to do because despite his age, the old man was extremely quick. This resulted in Naruto having a lot of bruises all over his body. The old man told him that in-one timing was a technique that could only be truly developed in battle. However, he did have the fundamentals of the technique mastered. The next technique he was taught was the abdomen timing of 2. This technique involved feinting the enemy into retreat and then striking them in their belly within 2 seconds, or attacking them in 2 moves. This was a move that required extreme precision, but thanks to training he received with in-one timing, the precision was not a problem. Young one, the key to mastering this technique lies in a fundamental understanding of the concept of sticking to your opponent. How do I do that? The boy asked in a confused tone. By binding your body as close as possible to your opponent, this will bring the person within your chikama and thus in an extremely vulnerable position. This technique requires you to lead with your body and not your limbs. This will not only get you within close range of your opponent, it will also generate much power in your attacks as well. The fire and stones cut was a technique that he already knew, and it required him to attack with his entire body. Mushi told him that the stronger his body became, the more force that would be generated in the attack. Continuous cut is a technique that utilizes either both your katana and wakizashi or your katana alone. With both weapons, you attack with a horizontal slash with the wakizashi, and with the force of the momentum you pivot and slash with the katana. It is the same principle using the katana alone. The stronger you get, the stronger the attack becomes. As you are now, this is a technique that you can only utilize against a weaker or equally skilled opponent. Against a strong opponent it will be useless because you are too weak. The final technique of Naito-jutsu is the chance opening blow. The technique is true to its name in that the first strike is used to catch the enemy off guard or force them into a defensive position that you are able to attack. In that single moment, you must attack in their moment of distraction. I must warn you that against shinobi these techniques are very difficult to execute. Do you know why? No, I don't. Yes, you do. There is a certain academy technique that is used by any shinobi worth their salt. Oh yes. Kawarimi no jutsu, or body replacement. You cannot kill what isn't there. The body replacement technique is extremely useful tool of the shinobi to save their life and cause a distraction. Do not, under any circumstances, let your guard down around a shinobi. Hi sensei. Naruto practiced mastering these techniques for almost 2 months. He came a long way with the techniques. By far, his favorite technique was continuous cut, however Mushi warned him about getting too accustomed to one particular technique. The old man told him that overfamiliarity in one technique makes it easy for your opponent to read and counter your attacks. Thus in the end, your strength becomes your weakness. To remedy this, the old man pushed the boy even further to be equally proficient in all the techniques of Naito-jutsu. Needless to say, Naruto was very sore every day. Once again Naruto stands before Mushi in the forest of death. Well, young one, I must say that I am impressed by your development so far. You didn't die in the forest, in fact, you actually thrived in it. The time draws near for the end of your training in the forest of death. In approximately 10 weeks you will be returning to the village to serve as part of the military forces of Konoha. I will tell you now that you will be in the most unique of situations. After all, you are a samurai. You have completed the discipline of earth and water, Now you are going to learn the disciplines of fire and wind. You are learning these two disciplines together because they are both about tactics and strategy. Fire is a volatile element that is not easily controlled. It is the same with war. The environment or conditions of the battle you rarely get to choose, but with proper strategy you can change the tides of battle. As one man can defeat 10 men, so can 1,000 men defeat 10,000. However, you can become a master of strategy by training alone with a sword, so that you can understand the enemy's stratagems, his strength and resources, and come to appreciate how to apply strategy to beat 10,000 enemies. These things cannot be clearly explained in words. You must learn to forestall your enemy. In forestalling, you must judge the situation. This does not mean that you always attack first, but if the enemy attacks first you can lead him around. In strategy, you have effectively won when you forestall the enemy, so you must train well to attain this. These are things you must experience in battle. The wind is unpredictable and free-flowing and goes where it wants. Understand Kenjutsu, but also understand the ways of other styles and incorporate them into Nidan Ichi Ryu. Study your opponents, their strengths and weakness, and how they can be countered and capitalized on. Study crafts outside of that of the sword, and in this way, you will achieve balance in your life. The sword cannot be wielded forever. There is a time and place for everything. This aspect of your training will consist of me putting forward various combat and non-combat scenarios to you. For each scenario you are to consider both the advantages and disadvantages of the situation and the best course of action. I will also teach you the basic manners befitting those who follow the way of the true samurai. Hey! I have manners, old man, the replied indignantly. Yup. And I am 20 years old, was the man's sarcastic reply. Stupid old goat, the boy grumbled. My point exactly. There are certain situations in which decorum is of the utmost importance, and you need to know those times when they come along. Okay, I get what you're saying. That is good to hear, because proper decorum will get you very far as well. In addition to strategy and tactics, you will also be learning a taijutsu style that complements our kenjutsu style perfectly. This martial art is known as in-style bagwazang. It is the end product of the combination of several forms of taijutsu. It is a style that contains a wide variety of techniques, and is a taijutsu that puts great emphasis on circular evasion. The aim is to flow in and out of your opponent's attacks and quickly disabling them. However, I am going to incorporate the use of ki in this style. Have you learned everything about the human boy and its meridians? Naruto nodded. Yes, it took me a while to understand the location of the meridians and their effect on the human body. But after almost 5 months of study I think I understand them. Good, very good. I am going to teach you how to push your ki into the meridians of your opponent to produce different effects on their bodies. However, pushing ki directly into vital organs such as the heart and lungs will cause immediate death. Pushing ki into the muscle groups and kidneys can cause debilitating pain and weakness. In-style bagwazang consists of 8 different animal styles. These styles are lion, monkey, rooster, dragon, phoenix, unicorn, snake and bear. Each animal system has 8 striking methods and each striking method has 7 strikes, of which 3 are called the primary or main strikes. These are the strikes we will be focusing on for now because they are the most important to learn. The others will be learnt in time. Okay, old man. But how is this style related to our kenjutsu? They too are related because they both emphasize the quick elimination of the enemy. Also, the different animal forms are very inviting to the use of a wide variety of weapons. As you train in the style you will understand my words. Hi. Now, there are 4 basic, yet fundamental practices of bagwazang that must be totally mastered above all else. They are standing, turning, striking and changing. The first stance you are going to learn is. Naruto spent the remainder of his time in the forest learning the bagwazang and the incorporation of ki into the style. The old man was right yet again. The fluid movements of the style was a perfect match for the sword, and Naruto thoroughly enjoyed learning the style both with and without the sword. The old man also paid extra emphasis on Naruto's speed and awareness abilities. Mushi often gave Naruto situations and battles that he was actually involved in his past as a way of gauging the boy's reasoning abilities. He was coming along nicely and would come up with outrageous yet brilliant plans of action for the different situations. On the final day of training, Mushi imparted the final discipline to Naruto. Well, young one, today is the last day of your training in the Forest of Death, and today is also the day that I will impart the final discipline of Go-Rin no Sho. This discipline is the discipline of Void. This discipline cannot be taught, you must understand it on your own, as you walk your own path. Void is empty yet full. It contains all the elements but at the same time contains none of them. By knowing that which exists, you can know that which does not exist. In the void are virtue, and no evil. Wisdom has existence, principle has existence, The way has existence, and spirit is nothingness. All things end in void. The young boy nodded. Hi, sensei. Well, this is your official goodbye to the forest of life. The academy exams are over and the successful graduates have a week off before they are assigned teams. The Hokage has informed me that he has a special arrangement in place to accommodate the unique situation that you find yourself in. He will summon you when he has made all the arrangements. Until then, you have some free time. Meet me the day before you meet with your peers, we have much to discuss. Until then, enjoy your free time and visit your loved ones. After such a long time away, they would really love to see you. A smile formed on the boy's face at the mention of meeting Irika, the Hokage, Tuchi, and Ayam. At the Hokage's tower. The Hokage sat at his desk with his soon-to-be Jonin-sensei in front of him. The graduation exam had just been concluded, and he had received the list of successful candidates. Present at the meeting were Hitaki Kakashi, Konoha's top Jonin, Yuhi Kurenai, Konoha's Genjutsu specialist, Mado Gai, Konoha's Taijutsu specialist, and finally Sarutobi Asuma, Konoha's resident wind master. You all know why you're here. The graduation exam has been recently concluded, and we have 9 successful graduates this year. I must say that this year is a most promising and politically important bunch. How so, Hokage-sama? Asked Kurenai. Of the 9 candidates, 7 are clan heirs. Wow! This really is a politically important bunch of graduates, commented Kakashi. Yes, they are. I am placing Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura, and Satsuko Tomogashi under your care, Kakashi. Yours will be a free response, frontline squad. No surprise that I got the last of the Uchiha on my team, since I am the only Sharingan user in Konoha. Exactly. Kurenai, you will be in charge of Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Your task will be to develop an infiltration and espionage team. Yes, Hokage-sama. Finally, Asuma, you will be in charge of Naresh Shikamaru, Yamanaka Ino, and Akimichi Kuji, the second generation of the Ino Shikucho group. Hi, Hokage-sama. Now there is one other important matter to be dealt with, and it concerns one Uzumaki Naruto. The Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko, he was off the radar for a long time. The last I heard, he was spending a lot of time with the old man from the Minsha district, said Asuma. Yes, that is true. However, there is more. More, Hokage-sama? Asked Kakashi. Yes, he is no longer a shinobi of Konoha. This is most surprising, Hokage-sama. Has his flames of youth been snuffed out at such a young age? No, I think his flames are burning more brightly than ever. Just not as a shinobi of Konoha. Then as what, Hokage-sama? Asked Kakashi. As a samurai. A samurai, the 4 surprised Jonin said in chorus. Yes, and I must admit that based on the Umbu reports and my own observations, a very capable one at that. He wishes to serve as a loyal citizen of Konoha, and I am the first to admit that we have lost a potentially great shinobi. All 4 Jonin were quiet as the Sandaime spoke. As part of our military forces, he will have to work in order to make money to live. Since this is a shinobi village, he will have to serve amongst the shinobi. I am proposing that he spends time with each team for 2 weeks in order to determine which team he fits best with. In this way, he gets to interact with the kids of his generation and hopefully, he will make some friends. Do you all have any questions, concerns, or ideas? Kurenai spoke up. Hokage-sama, I am worried about the team dynamics and training. Obviously, what he has learned is the antithesis of anything shinobi related, not to mention the general dislike shinobi and samurai have for each other. That is a good point, Kurenai, but before you judge, let's see how things work out, and then we will formulate a plan of action. Yes, Hokage-sama. How about we start off this little project with your team, Kurenai-san? I am the most junior of all the Jonin present. Would it not be better to start the ball rolling with a more senior Jonin? Your humility is commendable, Kurenai-san, but I think your team might be the best one to break him in. The Hyuga heiress is kind to a fault and would not show any ill will towards the boy. The Aburame will observe and analyze him as any true Aburame, and the most the Inuzuka might do is try to get in some form of competition or sparring with the boy. I understand, Hokage-sama, the female Jonin said. Good, be sure to report to the academy next Tuesday to collect your team. Hi, Hokage-sama, they all said in unison and left. Now all I have to do now to inform the council of my decision, and then I will meet with Naruto to discuss his role within the village. In the council chamber later that evening. After discussing the civil affairs of Konoha, the Shinobi Council convened. As you are already aware, the graduation exam is completed and each and every one of your clan heirs successfully became genin of Konoha. All members of the council nodded their heads in approval. Now this does not concern your children, for you already know of the team assignments and Jonin-sensei. What I am here to discuss is the status of Konoha's resident samurai. This got the attention of all the shinobi present. The Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko became a very talked about topic of the shinobi council ever since Sarutobi informed them of the boy's training. He is ready to serve alongside the newly instated genin of Konoha. How is he going to fit in with the shinobi? Asked Akimichi Chuza, head of the Akimichi clan. He will be on a 2-week rotation on all the genin squads, in order to work and earn a living as well. What about his training? Asked Danzo. He was very interested in the boy's whereabouts and his training, but his Umbu was unable to locate the little brat. His master will take care of his training, we need not worry about that. What about the upcoming Chunin exams, will he be allowed to participate in it? Asked Hayashi, head of the Hyuga clan. No, he is a samurai and thus, he will not be allowed to participate in the exam. Additionally, the exam requires a 3-man cell and therefore any team he is placed on will be overbalanced. This will cause resentment in the other nations and may spark an international incident. As it is now, we must adopt a wait-and-see attitude as it concerns the boy and his situation within the Konoha military structure. Given the current situation and the information that we have at our disposal, it is logical that we adopt this stance. This was the comment of none other than Aburame Shibi, head of the Aburame clan. Yes, it is. As you already know, over the past few months my wayward pupil Jiraiya has reported no significant activities until recently. Recently? Danzo asked with a level tone. Yes, he has reported that the development of a new hidden village in the land of rice. Who is the leader of the village? Asked Yamanaka Inoichi. He has not been able to discover the identity of the leader. The leader is a very wily man or woman. Is this the threat that you were warned about? Asked Inuzuka-tsum. It may be, replied the venerable Hokage. Jiraiya is stepping up his spy activities to uncover further information. What we shall do is increase our border patrols and tabs on Rice Country. That's all we can do until we get further information. That sounds reasonable. We cannot act rashly in such a situation, said Nara Shikaku, head of the Nara clan. When my wayward pupil gives me more information, I will let the council know. Hi, Hokage-sama, they all said in unison. The next day, Naruto was sitting in his apartment, in a meditative position, eyes closed, practicing maintaining his sense of awareness. Ever since Miyoshi taught him about ki and mai, he worked hard to cultivate both. What do you need, Umbu-san? Were the boy's words to a seemingly empty room. The Umbu was surprised that he was detected so easily by the kid. So the reports by Yamato Taicho were true, the boy has become skilled at detection. Uzumaki Naruto, Hokage-sama has sent me to escort you to his office for a meeting. Thank you, Umbu-san, I will be ready shortly. It took the boy 10 minutes to get ready. He was dressed in his now customary black kimono with the orange spiral in the back. His 2 bakken were tucked in his waist by a deep red sash and black sandals as his footwear. I am ready, Umbu-san. I wonder if he can keep up with me. We will be traveling by rooftop. Can you keep up or do I have to carry you? The Umbu asked in a jovial, yet challenging tone. Of course I can keep up, Umbu-san. Then let's go. The pair was making their way over the rooftops of Konoha on their way to the Hokage Tower. The Umbu was surprised at how easily the child was keeping up with him. This is excellent speed. How did he learn to move so fast? It took them 15 minutes to reach the Hokage's office. The Sandaime was sitting at his desk doing paperwork when his Umbu guard appeared. Hokage-sama, I have escorted Uzumaki Naruto as you requested. Thank you, Bird-san, send him in. As you wish. The Umbu turned around and motioned for the boy to enter. In came a young boy dressed in a black kimono, black sandals and 2 bakken at his side. The boy had a calm demeanor, and he was always on guard. The forest of death will do that to you. Hey Gigi, it has been a long time since I have seen you. Are you still reading those perverted novels? Naruto, is good to see that you have changed and at the same time you have not changed. Come Naruto, sit down and let us talk. I have missed you, Naruto. I was very worried when your master told me about your training in the forest of death. A genuine smile formed on the boy's face. Thanks, Gigi. No problem, I consider you to be my second grandson. The smile on the boy's face became even bigger. I was informed by your sensei that your training in the forest death would be concluded soon. I know that you will need to earn a living. As such, I have put things in place for you to earn a living and helping to protect Konoha. Your training has ended just at the same time of the academy graduating class. I suspect that your sensei planned it that way. Yeah, nothing that old coot does is by chance. Sarutobi couldn't help but laugh. I have arranged for you to be on each of the genin squads on a 2-week rotation doing missions. It is up to you if you wish to train with them or not. In this way you are able to earn money to take care of yourself. Just as every other member of the military forces of Konoha, you will gain higher level missions based on your performance. Does this sound acceptable? Yes, it does, Gigi. Good, now since the formalities have been dealt with, let's catch up. I haven't seen my grandson for a long time. Sandaime cancelled his meetings for the next 2 hours and the boy filled him in about his training and the things he learned from the old man. Sarutobi was impressed to say the least. If everything the boy said was true, then he should be more than capable of handling C-ranked missions. After their long overdue and welcome meeting, Naruto decided to make his way to Ichiraku and Irika to check up on them. At Ichiraku's ramen stand, Tucci and Ayam were busy taking orders and they didn't notice when Naruto entered the shop. Ayam turned around and was greeted by the sight of a new customer. He was dressed in a black kimono, but the face seemed familiar. Hello there, sir, may I take your order? Hey Ayamne, don't you remember your little brother? I'm so hurt, Naruto said in an overly dramatic way. Naruto? Is that you? Yes, it is. The one and only undisputed king of ramen, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto! She cried out, I missed you so much. You were away for a very long time, she said as she ran from around the counter and gave him a big hug. Yes, I was on a little training trip, and before that you were by your aunt in Otafukigai. Yes, that's true, she was sick and needed someone to take care of her until she was well. Hey Naruto, nice to see my #1 customer is back. Yes, I am, and oh how did I miss my ramen. Start me off with 2 miso and then 2 beef. Right away, and you look good in your kimono. Yes, I agree with Dad, it does look good on you. Bah! My sensei said the same, it is surprisingly comfortable. Ha! Same old Naruto, eat up. Eat up, said Tucci in a jovial voice. The rest of the time was spent eating ramen and spending time with his precious people. After his 15 bowls of ramen, Naruto made his way over to the academy to visit Irika. At the Shinobi Academy. Irika was still at the academy, even though the graduation exam has ended. However, he still had a lot of paperwork to do, such as reports and proposals for the next batch of academy students. Hey there, Irika-sensei, you still working? The graduation exam is over. Look who the cat brought in, Uzumaki Naruto. I almost didn't recognize you in that kimono of yours. You look good in it. Yeah, so I've heard. I visited Hokage-sama to see if you were okay, and he told me that everything is fine with you. He also told me that you are training to be a samurai, and that you will be serving alongside the newly graduated genin. Is this true? Yes, it's true, so I will be seeing you next week. Haha, in a sense you did graduate, just not as a shinobi. Naruto saw the truth of these words and began to laugh. So Naruto, tell me about what you have been doing all these years. Irika was surprised at the boy in front of him. He seemed more confident and more at peace with himself. He didn't seem fazed by anything. What was more is that the boy was constantly on guard, as if expecting danger at every turn. Irika, being a seasoned ninja, knew when someone was off their guard. The boy's guard did not let up even during their mild conversation. What could have caused such a transformation in the boy? Naruto began to narrate his tale of all that he had learnt, and Irika shared his stories as well. It was through Naruto's tale that he realized why the boy was always on guard. He spent a year in the forest of death. The duo spent the rest of the night catching up on old times. The day before the team assignments, Naruto and Yushi were kneeling facing each other at the back of the old man's shop. Well, we have come to end of one journey and on to the next. I am proud to tell that you have been the most annoying student ever. What? You old coot. You have no manners and you are gruff. But you have also been a hard worker and show limitless potential. You have overcome challenges that men twice and 3 times your have been broken by. The boy's indignance left as fast as it came. It was the first time that someone praised him so much, and he was stunned. Thank you, old man, the boy said in a grateful voice. Now I have several things that I need to give to you. What are they? Hold on for one moment. The old man returned with several items and knelt in front of the boy and presented him with a dice show. This is Yawarakaite, tender hands, the man said, presenting the katana to the boy. This is Heishiai Seishin, unwavering spirit, the man said, presenting the wakizashi to the boy. They are a pair of swords forged by one of the greatest swordsmiths ever, Masamune. It is rumored that he put his soul into these two swords. Is that even possible? Yes, it is very possible. When someone is at the height of their craft, their work transcends to an entirely different level. They become one with their craft. Masamune was one such man, and there are not many like him in this world. Naruto turned his attention towards the sheathed blades. As if drawn by some invisible force, he reached for the katana. The blade felt perfect in his hands. Slowly he drew the blade from its sheath. He had never seen something of such beauty. It is said that when he forged this sword, he placed it in a stream. All manner of things flowed past it, leaves, fishes, and even the air, yet none were cut. This is a blade that does not cut that which is undeserving. You must understand that the sword is a reflection of its owner. If you use it as simply a tool to kill indiscriminately, it will take life, but in the process you will lose access to the true power of the sword. How do I access the true power of the sword? As I said before, you need to listen to your sword. There are wonders in it that even I have not been able to access. Really? Was the boy's stunned reply. Yes, and I believe that you will be able to wield the true power of the blades. The wakizashi Heishiai Seishin, unwavering spirit, is the companion sword of Yawarakaite, tender hands. They are each other's yin and yang, strength and tenderness. They go hand in hand, side by side. Thank you, old man. I am not done yet, young one, said the old man as reached to his side and presented Naruto with two garments. The first was a black kimono, very similar to what the boy currently had on. However, there was one difference. In the front it had the kanji for fire on it. You are not a shinobi of Konoha, you are a servant of the Fire Lord and the Land of Fire. Konoha is just one small aspect of the great whole that is the country of fire. You are about to embark on a unique journey as a samurai in a ninja village. I know you love this village, and to be honest, I really don't know why after all it put you through. However, as a samurai your loyalty lies first and foremost with the daimyo of Fire Country. With a word or a decree he could bring Konoha to its knees. Of course you already know this because you studied everything there is to know about the elemental nations. His life is vital to the stability of the country, even more so than the Hokage. Do you understand? Naruto hesitated for just a bit before he answered in the affirmative. Sandaime was like a grandfather to him. I know that you, the Hokage, have a close relationship. However, you must also understand that your feelings come secondary to the safety and livelihood of the many. To Kodo number 4, think lightly of yourself and deeply of the world, Naruto said, having learnt all the teachings by heart. Yes, in the grander scheme of things your personal feelings are insignificant to the plight of the many. Man has inflicted so much pain and destruction upon each other because of greed and selfishness. The world is much bigger and much more important than our own selfish desires. Our lives are important, that is true, but one life is not worth thousands or millions. The whole is always greater than the sum of its parts. You are not as important as you think you are, and yet, you are important as you think you are. In the grand scheme of Kami, your life is like a grain of sand. However, the beach is not made up of a single grain of sand, is it not? No, it is made of millions of grains of sand, said the boy. Exactly. If I focus on myself, I will miss the whole world. I need to look at the world in its entirety. Exactly, you have learned well, young one. Now the second piece of garment I have for you is this, while presenting a beautiful traditional samurai battle armor to the boy. This was my son's armor. He died honorably in battle during the time when the land was unstable due to the warring clans. I kept it in the hope that you would honor me by wearing it in battle. In many ways I see my son in you. Tears were beginning to form in Naruto's eyes. No has ever been this kind to him, no one never gave him such a gift. Naruto bowed deeply. I will not dishonor your son's memory, Naruto said in a solemn tone. I know, young one. You are a samurai, and the word samurai means one who serves or servant. Who do you serve? The daimyo and the people of Hai no Kuni. The life of the samurai is a life of service. It is not one of fame, glory, and prestige. It is not about winning great battles and flaunting your techniques. The samurai's path is one of duty, honor, courage, benevolence, politeness, sincerity, loyalty, and self-control, Naruto said as he finished his master's statement. Keep these ideals close to your heart, for they are the code of Bushido. Hi, master. Old man, what about the Hokage? Think of him as your general, and thus will follow his orders. However, your priority will always be daimyo and people of Fire Country. The hierarchy is this: the daimyo, the people, the Hokage. It will be hard for you to accept because of your close relationship to the Hokage, but this is how things work in the life of a samurai. Hi, I understand. Now on to matters of your training. The boy perked up at hearing of more training. Once you are finished with your squad and missions, you will report back to me. To begin you lessons in calligraphy, seido or tea drinking, proper mannerisms and the academic arts. The boy perked down when he heard what his training would consist of. Ah man! These are important things you must learn. What does tea drinking have to do with being a samurai? It teaches you to honor the most simple of things. You will see I teach you it. Besides, it will come in handy someday. I don't see where it will come in handy sometime, but if you say so. Calligraphy will teach you about swordplay and grace. Study in mannerism is self-explanatory, and study in academia is to keep you well educated. You don't want to become an uneducated brute, do you? No, I don't. Good answer. So I will see you tomorrow after you are finished with your team meeting and assignments. Yes, sensei. Rest well, young one, for tomorrow you walk the path of the servant, you walk the path of the samurai. The next day came by quickly and Naruto took his time to get dressed after breakfast. He had to reach the academy for 11 a.m. He wore his usual garb, the jet black kimono with the kanji of fire on the left breast, and the orange spiral at back. He wore a red sash around his waist that held his daisho securely. His simple attire was complete with his black sandals. Making his way out the door, he sensed Mushi just as he entered his field of awareness. I wonder what the old coot wants, the boy thought. As he stepped outside, he saw the old man coming into view. Are you ready, young one? Yes, old man, but why are you here? I am here to escort my second son to the academy, of course. Naruto was speechless. This was something that he always wanted, someone to walk him to school, to be there at his important moment. Come on, let's go, brat, or we'll be late. Hi, old coot, the boy said with a smile on his face. The academy classroom was already filled with the successful graduates. They had already got into their own little cliques. Akimichi Choji, Nara Shikamaru and Kiba were sitting together chatting. Well, Choji and Kiba were talking and Shikamaru was sleeping. Aburame Shino and Hyuga Hinata were engaged in a quiet discussion. Yamanaka Ino and Haruno Sakura were in a heated discussion about who will get to marry their precious Sasuke-kun. The Uchiha himself was sitting alone looking outside thinking of revenge. Then there was the dead last of the class, Satsuko Tomigashi. Iruka and Mizuki were already in class, getting things together for the team assignments. Naruto stood outside the academy with Mushi. Well, young one, this is it. The next stage of your journey awaits you inside. Thanks, old coot. No problem, snot-nosed brat. I will see you later. Hi, see you later. Inside the classroom. Alright kids, settle down, it is time for team assignments. The normally unruly bunch actually paid attention when they heard about team assignments. Iruka began. Team 1 will consist of until he reached Team 7. Team 7 will consist of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura. Yes. Woohoo! I'm on Sasuke-kun's team. Sakura shouted, interrupting the teacher's announcement. Quiet, Haruno, now is not the time for this. Sorry, Iruka-sensei, the girl said, after which she turned to Ino and made a face at her. To which the girl responded likewise. As I was saying, Team 7 will consist of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Satsuko Tomigashi. Your Jonin-sensei will be Hatake Kakashi. Team 8 will consist of Inuzuka Kiba, Hyuga Hinata, and Aburame Shino. Your Jonin-sensei will be Yuri Kurenai. Team 9 is still on the roster. Therefore, Team 10 will consist of Yamanaka Ino, Akimichi Choji and Nara Shikamaru. Your Jonin-sensei will be Sarutobi Asuma. Why me? I get the lazy bum and the eating machine while Sakura gets Sasuke-kun. Ino moaned. Choji just continued to eat his chips and Shikamaru just said troublesome. Now class, I have an announcement to make. We have a new student that is due to arrive. A new student is coming? But Iruka-sensei, everyone has graduated, commented Sakura. Well, he is not a student per se. He in a unique situation within Konoha. So he is just another reject shinobi who somehow made the grade, Sasuke commented. Actually, Sasuke, he is not a shinobi. What? Shouted Kiba. He's not a shinobi and he is gonna be with us. Yes, Kiba, He is being placed on a 2-week rotation with all the genin squads to find a team that best fits him to work with. May I inquire, Irika-sensei, if he is not a shinobi then what is he? Asked Shino. He is a samurai. Whoa! A samurai, Kiba, Ino, Satsuko and Sakura shouted in unison. With the mention of samurai, Shikamaru raised his head and said troublesome. Sasuke was a little intrigued by this new development. Maybe things might get a little interesting around here. Shino and Hinata were quietly listening to the ruckus going on in the classroom. Now he will start his 2-week rotation with Team 8. Hinata became nervous, Shino had no expression, and Kiba had a pensive look on his face. Alright, that's it, you will now have to wait on your Jonin-sensei to arrive. Good luck, and I am very proud of you all. Just as he finished, Naruto entered the classroom. The room became still as the young boy dressed in a black kimono, and 2 blades on his waist entered. Hello there, you are just on time. Class, this is Uzumaki Naruto, and he is Konoha's resident samurai. He will be serving with you all as part of Konoha's military forces. The boy stepped forward and gave a polite bow. I look forward to serving with you all. Mizuki was paying no attention to the proceedings because he didn't care. However, when he laid eyes on Naruto, he instantly became angry. As he finished his statement, his sense of danger flared when he felt malicious intent directed at him. He automatically took a guarded stance facing Mizuki. The entire class watched on as a tense silence descended upon the classroom. Hey brat! Weapons aren't allowed in the classroom. Give them to me now, he said in a hateful tone. No! You will not have my swords, Naruto said while still holding his stance. Mizuki, this is unnecessary, Irika interjected. You insolent little brat, give me those swords, he said, as he slowly made his way over to the boy, ignoring Irika's plight. If you try to take these swords by force, Mizuki-san, I will break your arms. The class was shocked by Naruto's statement. Who do you think you are, you stupid brat, threatening a superior officer? You want to forcefully take my swords with no good reason. Weapons are not allowed in the classroom, responded Mizuki. They have graduated and are now officially part of the military force of Konoha, Naruto said, while pointing to the seated students. They have earned the right to bear arms. It is the same with me. I have earned the right to wear my swords. Just listen to me, brat, do as I say. Mizuki, let the boy keep his swords. No! Irika, he will not. This is the last time I am telling you this. If you try to take my swords forcefully, I will break your arms. You seem pretty confident in yourself. You sound as if you will actually be able to follow through on that threat. I do not make idle threats, Mizuki-san. Irika became even more forceful. Stop it now. Mizuki, he has done nothing wrong and he will be allowed to carry his swords. Mizuki backed off, albeit reluctantly. He glared at the boy and went about ignoring everything else. I must say, he has a lot of guts threatening a chunin like that. I look forward to having him on my team and maybe we could spar and see how good he is, thought Sasuke. Interesting, he shows no sign of fear against a chunin level shinobi. Does he have so much faith in his ability? Thought Shino. The rest of the class was too stunned to think about what had just happened. All that registered in their minds was that the new guy threatened to break a chunin instructor's arms. Some apprehension was beginning to develop in some of the students. Uzumaki Naruto, isn't he the dobe that failed the genin exams twice before? Kiba said. Oh yes, he is, said Ino. Ha! He couldn't make it as a shinobi and now he wants to be a lowly samurai. This is too funny, Kiba said. Naruto was starting to become angry, but he kept it in check when he remembered Mushi's words, he is just a mirror reflecting your own anger against you. Yes, I am that Uzumaki Naruto. Ha! I knew it. Once a dobe, always a dobe, don't you know that? Said Kiba, just don't keep back my team. I am sure I won't, dog boy. What did you call me, dobe? I always thought dogs had good senses of hearing and scent. Are you sure you are an Inuzuka? Why you? Kiba said as he got up to attack the boy. The students began to laugh at Kiba's expense. Alright, that's enough, have a seat, Naruto. For the first 2 weeks you are assigned to Team 8, which consists of your good friend Inuzuka Kiba, Aburame Shino and Hyuga Hinata. Your Jonin sensei is Yuhi Kurinai. Your next assignment will be on Team 10, and then Team 7. Thank you, Irika sensei, he responded and made his way to his new temporary teammates seated at the back of the class. He was making his way to the seat right next to Hinata. Her head was down so he didn't get a good look at her face. However, as he got closer he could see her face better. She is really cute. I'm gonna enjoy my 2 weeks with this team. Hello Hinata-san, Shino-san. Nice to meet you. Hello Naruto-san, I am Abirame Shino and this is Hyuga Hinata. It is a pleasure to meet you as well. I hope we have a fruitful 2 weeks with each other. Same here Shino-san. Approximately 15 minutes later Team 8's Jonin-sensei arrived. I am Yuhi Kurenai, and I've come to collect my Genin squad and one Uzumaki Naruto. All 4 children stood up and made their way to their Jonin-sensei. Alright, you're all here, good, let's head over to Training Ground 8. On their way to the training ground, Shino asked Naruto about his little standoff with Mizuki. Naruto, I wanted to know more about your actions towards Mizuki-sensei on our first day of class, if you wish to tell? Well Shino-san, samurai don't just give up their swords to anyone just like that, and Mizuki was attempting to force me to give up my sword. It's like someone trying to force you to give up your bugs, Kiba to give up Akamaru, or Hinata her Byakugan. It won't be done without one hell of a fight, am I right? You are most certainly correct Uzumaki-san. It is the same with my sword. It is part of me like your bugs, a lifelong companion like Akamaru is to Kiba, and a part of my new heritage as Hinata's Byakugan. Therefore, had Mizuki successfully carried out his attempt to take my sword, I would have carried out my threat. Were you serious about your threat? My sensei taught me to always let my actions and words are one and the same. I said I would break his arms, and that is what I would have done had he carried out his plan. Kurenai was nearby, and she was listening intently to the conversation. She understood and agreed with the boy's reasoning perfectly. She also knew that the Hokage would certainly hear about this incident, and would have to deal with it. Naruto, you do know that threatening bodily harm to another member of our military forces, especially a superior officer, is a very serious act, Kurenai told the boy. I will just have to pay the consequences of my actions, Kurenai-san, the boy said with finality. Very well then, the Jonin replied. Training Ground 8. 15 minutes later. The group of 4 arrived at Training Ground 8 for their first team meeting. Hello there, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you all here with me today. Since we are all meeting for the first time, let's begin with some introductions, starting with me. My name is Yuhi Kurenai, also known as the Genjutsu Mistress of Konoha. I like reading, spending time with my friends, and Genjutsu. I dislike perverts. My favorite food is fried rice and tofu. It is my aim to be one of the top kunoichi of my generation. Who's willing to go next? The beautiful Jonin asked. Unsurprisingly, it was Kiba. My name is Inuzuka Kiba. I like my partner Akamaru, my clan. I dislike anyone who doesn't like dogs. My favorite food is roast chicken, and my dream for the future is to be the best tracker that the Inuzuka has ever had. Good Kiba, now who's next? I will go, said Shino. My name is Abirame Shino. I like bugs, training, and my clan. I dislike people who judge without first getting to know a situation or person. I would like to be a capable clan head on day. Hinata? And my name is Hyuga Hinata. I like growing and pressing flowers and reading. I dislike bad people, and one day I would like to end the division in my clan. That's a noble goal you have there, Hinata. The Jonin then turned to Naruto. Uzumaki, would you like to share some things about yourself with us? Sure, it's no problem, Kurenai-san. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I like ramen, training, my swords, reading, and my precious people. I used to dislike myself, but I don't anymore. My goal is to serve the country of fire to the best of my ability. I used to dislike myself, but not anymore, the rest thought. Okay, good. Now, normally the Jonin would give some kind of teamwork test to determine whether or not you all could work as a team. However, I won't do that with you all because I don't expect you all work as a team in 5 minutes. Teamwork takes time and effort to build, so what I am going to do is give you a small mission of sorts. It is designed to get you working together. Based on the results of the mission, I will know where to start the group off. A mission for us already? Cool, said Kiba. Sandaime-sama created this team for espionage and infiltration purposes. Each of you, with the exception of Naruto, whom I don't really know, has an ability that lends itself to the field. Therefore, most of our training will be geared towards that. This is an espionage and infiltration mission. There is a document in a hut at this location, Kurenai said while presenting them with a map. You are to retrieve this document and rendezvous at this point after your mission is completed. Naruto then spoke up. Do you have any information about the security detail around the hut or possible enemies we might face? Kurenai was surprised by the blonde boy's intelligent question. Enemy number and formation is unknown, Kurenai said, lying to the group. What about the likelihood of encountering enemy? Asked Shino. You will encounter the enemy, so be prepared. That is all I am giving you. They all nodded in approval. Good luck. It's now, and you have PM to retrieve the scroll and return to the rendezvous point, and the beautiful Jonin faded in thin air. Alright, let's go, Kiba said. No, we can't just rush headlong like that. There are too many unknown variables. We need to come up with a plan of action, Shino said. I agree with Shino. Kiba, you are being too reckless, Naruto said. Okay, let's cook something up, replied the boy after being ganged upon. Would anything you would like to make an input, Uzumaki-san? Sure, Shino-san. As you correctly said, there are too many unknowns in this mission. I am guessing that we will encounter a lot of genjutsu traps. She is Konoha's genjutsu expert after all. That is correct, so we must prepare for genjutsu. Ayano. Genjutsu will not be a problem, my Byakugan can see through genjutsu. Yes, so we will just dispel them as we go along, said Kiba. That sounds good. We must also expect other forms of traps, because I am sure she knows that we will be expecting genjutsu, Shino added. She's just one Jonin and 4 of us, Kiba interjected. We may have the numerical advantage, but she has years of experience, plus she is very skilled. She wouldn't be a Jonin if she wasn't skilled enough for the rank. In this situation, our numerical advantage may count for nothing, said Naruto. Yes, let us begin by finding the location of the hut, do some recon, and then we will formulate a plan, Shino said. What formation shall we take? Asked Hinata. Kiba will take point. His sense of smell and hearing will help us avoid any unnecessary confrontations. Hinata will be just behind. Kiba will be searching the surroundings and breaking the various genjutsu traps that we will encounter. Shino, you will be just behind Hinata, scouting with your bugs as well. I will cover your retreat should anything go wrong. Does this sound good enough? Yes, that formation is both logical and effective, Shino said. Good plan for a doe. Thanks, dog boy. The plan is good, Naruto-kun. Thanks, Hinata. Shall we be off now? Kurenai-san must be waiting for us? With Kurenai 1.5 hours later. I don't sense them anywhere near this location. Maybe they got lost? No, they are too smart for that. I suppose they stopped to formulate a plan. Kurenai had already set up the whole training exercise beforehand, and she already alerted the other Jonin sensei of the exercise. Guy's team would be in the area. They would provide an obstacle to the team. The Jonin also set genjutsu and normal traps on the route that they would have to take because of the presence of Guy's team. All she had to do now was to wait until they reached. Back with Team 8 and Naruto. The 4 children were making their way through the training grounds of Konoha. They had encountered very little opposition until Hinata spotted something with her Byakugan. Ayano, I see something up ahead, northeast and about 300 feet from our location. It's Team Guy and they seem to be training. The group halted to assess the situation. Hinata, do you see an alternative route? Asked Shino. Why, yes, we have 2 options. We can go to the left or right of Team Guy. If we go left, we will reach our destination faster, but it would increase our chances of being spotted because there are other training grounds on that side. If we go right, we will take longer because the forest is denser on that side, but our chances of being spotted are less. We are walking into a trap, Naruto said. I would have to agree. This was deliberately set up by Kurenai-sensei. Somehow she knew that Gai-san would be in that location, and we would be forced to take the more difficult route in order not to be detected, Shino said. So what do we do now? Asked Kiba. Well, she is basically forcing us to take the more difficult route in order to waste time and delay the mission for as long as possible. The genjutsu traps will also be difficult to dispel because she knows the Byakugan can see through genjutsu. Therefore, she will be expecting us to come from this location, he said while pointing towards a spot on the map. So why don't we avoid the traps altogether and engage her from the back? But what about the forest? It gets really dense if we go too far in. I know because my mom takes me out there a lot to help me train, said Kiba. That's even better. You know your way around there. It will make things much easier for us. Between the 3 of you, there's no way we can't circle around her location in time. I am sure she won't be expecting that. We have just changed the situation to our favor. We are now operating on our terms. That is a good plan, Uzumaki-san, Shino said. I agree, it is a good plan, said Hinata. That's a good idea, not bad for a dobe, Kiba said. Then lead the way, dog boy. I gonna get you for that. Let's go. They got back into formation and made their way around the trap-infested area that Kurenai